Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bargain Bin, a show about speedrunning games all under $20. I'm your host, Midnight Vesper, and if you're new here, well, here's how this works. For more current/digital games, we'll be using a wide assortment of digital stores like Steam, GOG, itch.io, Ubisoft, etc. to look at the list/MSRP price. For retro games, we use a wide assortment of price-charting websites looking at the loose price of the game. We do not count any sales or discounts as they vary from time of purchase. Before we get into this run, though, do not forget that GDQ's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Cross Brutalis, is coming up soon, coming up March 3rd through the 10th. Schedule is actually now out. You can use !FF in Twitch chat to learn more information. Prize submissions are now open until February 28th. We got about a month left. So head on over to gamesdonequick.com/FrameFatalis for more information about that. Also, do not forget that Unapologetically Black and Fast is going to be live February 16th through the 19th. Come celebrate by watching a 4-day event full of speedruns and black joy. Use !UBAF in Twitch chat for more information. And hey, speaking of events, we did just have one recently. It was called Awesome Games Done Quick. Raised a good amount of money. It was really fun. If you missed any of those runs, don't worry. Those, as well as some of our other shows and other events, are all on our YouTube channel. You can check out the VODs at youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And of course, while you're here, do not forget your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel. Do support the Games Done Quick hotfix. If you enjoy watching speedruns just as much as I do, you can consider subbing to the channel. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up, not just today. I mean, not just on my show is what I should say. Not just on my show, but afterwards. We got Express Lane coming up after. So we got a great day of speedruns coming up all throughout. But let's focus here on the Bargain Bin. As you can see kind of on my screen over here, we got 3 great runs. Later on, we're going to have some Sonic, and we're going to have some Ori. But for right now, let's go ahead and turn it on over to Alice, who is going to be running a game I've seen in chat. Chat's already excited for this one. You know, Dungeons of Dredmor. I'm ready for it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to running this game for you all.
I'm excited.
So yeah, I'm going to be running Dungeons of Dredmor here, and helping me out is going to be my commentator, Leggy. You want to introduce yourself?
Loot fit for the Loot Fit's gods! Hi, everyone.
Alright. I guess I can go ahead and get started here.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Alright. So we'll just be going in and doing a new game, and we'll be on the easy Elvish difficulty for the fastest possible run. There are categories for the other two. Permadeath will be off. We'll be exploiting that a little bit, potentially. No time to grind, obviously, because we want to go fast. And Realm of the Dickle Gods will be off. And I'll be using these skills, in particular this one, because we want to set things on fire today. So we're just going to name our hero. It doesn't really matter too much what we name our hero. And we're going to get started here in 3, 2, 1, go.
Looking forward to it.
Blah, blah, blah. There's a dungeon. There's a lich down at the bottom named Dredmor. This might be his dungeon or something. I don't know. I don't read the lore. We're just here to go fast.
Yeah, this is not a game you play for story. This is a game you play for fun RNG killing you.
Yeah, so we're in a early level, which means we're kind of weak, we're kind of squishy. We also need to pick up some experience, but also some food and alcohol, which heal our health and MP respectively.
Yep, and we'll also be committing some heroic vandalism, which is always good for getting some easy experience, and it's just fun to do. Who doesn't want to do heroic vandalism?
Yeah. You will notice that Rajasu is opening the chests from the corner. Do you want to explain why you do that?
Yeah, so there's no animation if you do it from the corner. If you do it from the sides, then you have like an animation and stuff. but we generally do things from diagonal because animations are slow and we don't want to do them.
Yep.
I'm also looking for any like equipment like that's going to raise our magic power because we're going to be using a lot of magic here. And I just got a wormling, so let's go downstairs.
Yeah, you'll notice, as previously mentioned, we're using the Promethean magic, which is fire. We are throwing fireballs, summoning tiny dragons to do combat. You'll notice that with the door closed, we can't see what's going on, so the game doesn't have to draw on the animations, so it just goes way faster.
Yeah, you'll see me do things like that a lot, where I just open a door, summon a dragon, and then just close the door and run away. Because that's basically the fastest way to kill enemies. Also, I'm killer vegan in this run, so I'm going to have to eat a lot of tofu.
Oh, wow,
Zoo.
that's
Alright, so whenever there's a monster zoo, I'm using the aforementioned strategy of summoning a dragon and just getting out of town like as fast as possible. I'm actually going to safety save here. But yeah, I'm just going to go over here and just run around and let the dragon kill everything. And I'm going to gain levels because you don't have to kill things yourself. You can just let the dragon do it and you get the EXP. So that's a lot of fun. I've taken out about half of the
summoned
zoo.
a new You summoned a new dragon, but there was still a dragon in there?
No, you can only have one dragon out at a time, which is a shame, because otherwise we'd just be summoning all kinds of dragons, but as it is, the dragon is already, like, probably the most overpowered thing you can do in this game. Like, you only have to gain a couple of levels to have access to the dragon, and, like, the dragon, it's more powerful than other, like, pets you can have. It does a lot of damage, and it just, like, soaks up hits. You know, it's sort of, in MMO terms, it's your tank and your DPS just rolled into one. And we're just kind of support here.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an absolute pile of experience points. We're looking to hit... At the end of the day, we're trying to go fast, but we do want to get as many levels as possible so that we can get... you know, the various benefits of leveling up, but also there are a few skill thresholds we need to hit along the way. We need to have a very particular set of skills in order to beat the final boss.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Like I said, the skills in this game are not balanced, which I think to some extent is to the benefit of this game, because you can kind of experiment with the skill tree and give yourself more or less of a challenge depending on what you want to do, and just, you know, experiment and see, you know, what stuff's more fun. But you know, for this run, there's definitely a specific set that we want to use, and not a lot of room for deviation. There's like one or two skills that we can, you know, that are kind of flexible, but there are at least like 6 skills that are just essential for the run.
Yeah.
Very
And
quick
we'll
floor
talk
there. I
about-
love to see that.
Yeah. We'll talk about the ones that are super important once we get a little bit closer to final boss time. But for now, the big thing we're focusing on is using our pet dragon to just rip and tear through this dungeon.
Yep. We will have to actually, like, cast spells a little later, but for now, the dragon can just do all of the work for us.
I like how the spell book is not just, it doesn't say like skills, it just says ye skill tune, you know?
Oh yeah, the flavor text in this game is just, like, wonderful.
So, how do you think you're doing overall in terms of where you're at the run versus the floor you're on?
I'm feeling pretty good about things right now. I've had I want most of these like early to middle floors to just go quickly. There will come a point in like level 8 where I may have to do some grinding to get things that I need. One thing I'm like mildly concerned about is just like getting enough magical equipment, but we did get that staff earlier. That'll help us. We should be fine in that respect. I just need to gain a couple more levels so that I have the skills that I'll need to lock down Dredmor at the end.
And now we know that this is kind of a roguelike. For those that don't necessarily know or maybe watching this for the first time, when you said like how confident are you, like what's kind of the significance of that, I guess you could say.
So I mean, roguelikes are just kind of all RNG. Like every floor of this is randomly generated. The monsters, the loot, all of that is random. So we could get really lucky and get through these floors really fast, or we could get really unlucky and they just take forever. So there's a lot of randomness and variance that we have to worry about. It's, like I said, it's going pretty well so far.
Yeah. And then the other side of the equation, of course, is, making sure that you have the stats and equipment and everything to be ready to take on the final boss, because as you can see, for most of this game, things are fairly straightforward as we're going fast. But this game does have a pretty steep difficulty curve in terms of how strong enemies get and how much power you need to take on, both just the generic enemies, but also the final boss is a huge power spike. That we are building out a very specific kit of spells to be able to tackle.
Yeah, the best way I can put it is on floor 10, I'll say floor 9 and 10, but floor 9 and 10, the enemies are as hard as all of the enemies before that combined. And then you get to Lord Dredmor, and just the final boss is as hard as the rest of the game combined. Like, that's the best way I can put it. So these animals that are next to me that are kind of hard to see because they're invisible, they won't attack me because they're animals and I'm killer vegan. I can still set them on fire with spells and it doesn't break my vegan conduct, because loopholes, I guess. But it ends up being a powerful defensive measure. I just need to focus here for a second.
Yep. So, like we're saying, we're already down on floor 8. There are 10 floors in this dungeon, and the goal is when we find the final boss, Lord Dredmor, and, defeat him, the game is over. So we're already pretty deep in, but this is where things start, getting scary, because we have enemies that are doing a pile of damage, and they're burning through our dragon's health like it's nobody's business. So there's a lot of management of resources, because another mechanic of this game is that your food and your alcohol, which restore your HP and MP respectively, don't just give you it all back at once. They apply over time. So you really have to be careful and plan out, okay, I need to eat this now in order to make sure that my health gets back up before I get punched again.
Yeah. There's something you'll see a lot in this game. Congratulations, you have died.
Yep. And remember, this is on the easiest difficulty. It only goes up from here.
Wow. Also, the congratulations you have died sounds very Monty Python.
It is probably my favorite game over message in video games. Just
Can someone edit that screen to use like the Dark Souls layout? Yeah. One of the other classes that we've got going on gives us a random teleportation spell, which is really useful for getting out of some tricky situations.
yeah, that's the math magic skill.
Critical hits.
I just walked into a trap there.
Oh no.
But yeah, this is just a hairy situation. I'm just having a time like managing my MP levels.
Yeah, and like, you know, in addition to, you know, the way that Rajasu is playing, there are so many different systems that are baked into this game. You've got a whole crafting system going on that you can spec into, with entire classes of item that you can pick up to craft items down here in a dungeon. You've got an entire system around using, disarming, and replacing the various dungeon traps to make sure that, you know, you can utilize them to your advantage. There's some other incredibly silly classes in there too, if Killer Vegan isn't silly enough for you.
Yeah, it's funny, when I first started picking up just playing this game casually, I was really into the crafting system, and, you know, I thought, like, wow, this game, you know, I play this game and it takes a long time because I'm just, like, spending so much time trying to get through crafting. And then I, like, did the speed run and just went complete opposite, not doing any crafting and just going, you know, straight all in on magic, basically.
Yeah. And like I said at the very beginning, you could offer, you know, Lutefisk to the Lutefisk gods.
Yeah, there's just like so many just interesting little side things you can do in this game.
Yeah, there's a whole, like, system for doing, like, side quests where you fight elite enemies to get bonus rewards based off of a side quest you can pick up from a statue down here in the dungeon.
I'm trying to sit down here and identify these creatures. Just like the small character that was gray, I thought was a monkey. Can't figure out what those are yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I can certainly see how it's you know, it's a lot to pick out any like one thing.
That creature
And
looks like a D20 or a D100. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and like, you know, we've got to get through a certain number of these foes to make it down to the next level, and then we've got another level after that where we have to find the boss. Like, technically we're almost done, but we do have a little bit more to go in order to get there.
Yep.
Like, it feels like half the run happens on the last 2 or 3 levels.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times where I just end up doing like my grinding here on the 8th floor and try to skip the 9th floor entirely, and just the 10th floor is hopefully a short Lord Dredmor hunt, but you never know how long it's going to take to find him. I did get a magical item that I was looking on this floor. This floor is guaranteed to have the Crab King, who drops a Crown of Yellow, which is a big help for our magic. Since I got that, I should be in pretty good shape to to get the rest of the way. And I have just enough levels to be able to get through the Dredmor fight. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save before I go down these stairs. Level 9 is very difficult, and I can't actually beat a lot of these enemies because they're all like fire elementals, so they're resistant to my attack. So I save before I come down here, and I will hope that this happens, or I'll take an intentional death and just try to regenerate the floor. I got a very fast level 9, so we don't have to worry about any of that. We just have to worry about level 10 here.
So we are looking for two things here. One is the cat. Wait, sorry, wrong game. Thinking Zelda 1. We are just looking for Lord Dredmor, and when we do, it is full panic. Okay, we know there is a specific strat to take on the evil lich, and we will need to execute it.
Yep. And these enemies down here are just, like I said, they're a lot more brutal than what we have to deal with on the first 8 floors. Our dragon can't really take them down by itself. We'll have to cast some fire magic to assist it. I can sometimes just like close the door and let the dragon do some fighting, but I'll probably just have to summon another dragon. At this point, it's more like the dragon is almost just the tank, and I'm casting fire to keep up the damage. So this is a Dwarven Express post, which I can try to use to get a magical item. So what happens is I pull this lever and whoa. Don't like to see that.
That did not look nice.
Yeah, just cluster of enemies just randomly showing up there. That seems to happen whenever you pull that lever. But I'm just going to save here. I'm going to open these chests.
Have that lever.
And I'm just looking for magical items. Sometimes you get a weapon, and sometimes you get a boss enemy. When you get a boss enemy, that's annoying because like there's no real benefit to fighting the bosses, and I don't even know what's going on here. This is just like cloning itself. I'm just gonna throw in the towel there and try again. Because that was not cool. Okay, that's a more manageable enemy there. Okay, level up's good. That'll give me a little bit more firepower. And yes, that is what I'm looking for, just a little bit more magic. That puts me at 28 magic power. On easy mode, I generally want to be in the 25 to 30 range. So we have enough magic power to take down Dredmor. We just have to find him. That's really the key here. We're hoping he's not going to be too shy.
So this may be a weird question. This may be an easy question, but on the top right, I see that map. Is that map the whole dungeon, and does that apply to each individual level?
That is a map of just this floor.
Sorry, what I meant to add, so that whole map is one floor, and then does levels 1 through 9 have the same essential amount of doors and rooms and stuff like that? Does that make sense?
They're all generally the same size, but the layout is completely random.
Yeah, that's what I was going.
Yeah, you could have 2 radically different composed dungeons, but they're all going to be about the same size, and they've all got mini maps that, carry through.
so we just have to be a little patient sometimes, just like managing all of the threats that can come up on this floor. So I'm gonna have to take my time a little bit here, but that's okay.
Why do those creatures look familiar to me? Can't remember where, but they look familiar, like a Pixar movie or TV show or something.
Okay.
I can see it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna Dredmor.
Oh.
Dredmor alert.
We found the boy.
All right, safety save here. So I'm gonna need 2 skills here: Gag Order and Unliving Wall. So I'm gonna do Gag Order first to shut down his magic. Second, I'm gonna summon a dragon just to keep him at bay for a second, and then we're gonna go Cask of Amontillado Strats here. We're just gonna wall him in. So at this point, it becomes kind of a juggling act of managing my mana here and just trying to keep Dredmor on fire and keep his magic at bay while I keep these walls up and just keep everything balanced without running out of mana or getting killed by something. So I am going to have to concentrate here.
Yep. So the important thing is we want to keep Dredmor silenced, because just like in every other RPG, if you silence an enemy, they can't cast spells. He's a lich, he's a spellcaster. He will explode you if he gets a chance to say any spells. Obviously, the Unliving Wall that we're using is blocking him out of the way so that we don't have to worry about him punching us, which is also really painful.
Yeah.
And it means that when Rajasu puts out a fire pillar, Dredmor can't go anywhere and just has to stand in it. And of course, if you can't see, Dredmor also likes to try and insult us.
Yeah, all the enemies like to drop little insults on us. It's very much that kind of game. But yeah, Dredmor, when he's not locked down like this, he is very dangerous, and this could be a problem. Okay, I got Gag Order back up. I'm gonna need some MP in a hurry here. Okay.
Yeah, it says we're not doing any damage, but he is still taking damage. He's taken about 300.
Yeah, I think Gag Order has like a damage over time element to it, and that doesn't do any damage to him, but just the fact that he's standing in fire does some damage. Unfortunately, my damage is kind of slowed here because I didn't pick up a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster, which is usually important here, and I didn't get the Channeler ability, so that's kind of slowing me down here. So this is just going to be, I think, a very slow, methodical Dredmor fight here. Usually this fight goes faster and the rest of the run goes slower. We found him nice and early, but now we're just going to have to wait for kind of a slow and prodding fight here.
I know you just said that you didn't have a Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. Is that what it's actually called in the game?
Of course.
Yes.
Very nice to see a nice Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference in this.
Oh, yes. All sorts of that.
It definitely explains the congratulations you have died.
Oh yeah, this game has a super, super sharp sense of humor.
I haven't read the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in so long that I was like, Pangalactic Gargle Blaster, that's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I had to like quickly double check myself.
Yeah. All right, we've got Dredmor down to about half.
Yeah, we're about halfway there.
Nice.
So how hard do you think this run is to pick up and learn?
It's not hard to pick up and learn. It's difficult to master, but if you want to do this run, just like really just like look at the skills that I use and just pick out those skills and play the game. Like if you've played this game casually, even if you haven't, it's not like the basics of this game aren't super hard to understand. It is hard to do all of this stuff like fast. That's just the biggest thing. Like just kind of learn the run, do it slow, methodical, and then learn to do it fast. And that's really all you have to do. We're about 2/3 now.
Let's go.
This is probably one of the slowest, like, successful. Well, I say successful, and now I'm like gonna get owned, but.
Oh no! Oh no!
This might just be a reset. But I was saving a lot, so not gonna lose that much. That's why you see me saving so much. Like, it is very easy for him to just kind of get out of his prison there. This is kind of awkward because I can't. When I hover over Dredmor right now, it's not showing me like whether he has gag order up or not. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that this wall just kind of dissolves and he moves, and then I'll be able to see it. Yeah, there you go. Sometimes the game's a bit glitchy, but like it runs very well for a game that was made in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know,
I really like the art style for it too. It for 2011, it definitely looks and feels like a game that came out in the 90s, which I really like. They did a fantastic job of getting that vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there are people in chat that are like, you know, they're sitting down there and they're like, what? This game came out in 2011?
Yeah, it was actually, the way I got this game was it was on like one of the first Humble bundles. It was like the Humble Indie Bundle, like 3 or 4 or something. It was very early on in that whole thing.
We're close.
Yep, we're close. We're gonna be able to get this. It's just gonna take us a little time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was going for PB here, I'd be pretty upset that this took so long. But you know, I think my PB for this is like 17 minutes. It's
wow.
There's just so much variance in this run. You know, like sometimes you just get all of the firepower and you can take Dredmor down a lot faster than this, but you know,
That's
Yep.
kind of one of the
You're-
good and bad things about roguelikes.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially the uniqueness of roguelike speedruns, because you never really know as soon as you hit go.
Yeah, like, it's actually it's a really interesting skill that you see in, you know, a lot of roguelike speedruns, a lot of RPG speedruns as well, being this sort of test of not just how well do you know the strats, but how well can you adjust to things going slightly off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Need to kind of assess threats here. Probably not the best move.
I like the one enemy in the bottom there. Do you feel lucky, punk?
Well, do you?
Critical hits. Need more mana. Drink more boo.
Yeah, it's fun reading through chat a little bit and watching everyone talk about how they've got slightly different strategies that they prefer using versus not. Like, this game has so many different, like, skill paths you can go through that you can build out in so many different ways. It's honestly really, really cool.
I think that's something that's really beneficial when it comes to a lot of roguelikes that I've seen, is kind of like that. You never really know what you're going to get into, so it's always that, like, okay, I got to think on the fly, and I got to think, like, based off of this, and how to make sure it happens, especially for speedruns.
Mm-hmm.
Just like really close here, but just like having
All the other
just having
enemies.
MP problems is basically the gist of it.
Yeah, and the game ends immediately on Dredmor being dead, which is the other half of, like, the big tension here.
Is that Dredmor that's saying that at the very top? Or is that just another enemy that just said, "Why does nothing love me?"
I'm gonna say that's Dredmor. It looks like Dredmor to me.
Yeah. Hang on, I've got a cramp.
Okay.
Oh, chat's pointing out that one that I missed called "Killed the Eyebrowed One."
More mana.
Such clever text.
I'm just gonna like see if I can recover a little bit over here.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay,
because
there we go.
we do have blood magic as one of the other skill we've got going on. So we are regenerating a little bit of mana by doing murder.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, it's fine.
We're heroes. Murder's okay.
Yeah. Wait. Hey.
Okay. Think this is a favorable position. Famous last words.
What does that say? You walk like it's something turkey? I couldn't see from here.
Like, seriously, play this game casually. There's just like so many little jokes that you'll see that like we haven't even had time to talk about here. I think my favorite joke in this game is there's a weapon that's called the Razor Sword, and you know, it's a sword. And then there's another weapon that's called the Razor Sword for her. It's exactly time.
Nice.
GG.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Razor Sword for her is exactly the same as the Razor Sword, except it's pink and it costs twice as much.
GG. That was fantastic. Loved it. If anyone, because I know there are a lot of people in chat that were saying stuff along the lines like, I've seen this or I never beat it or anything like that. If there are people that were like, oh, okay, this may be something that this may get me into speedruns, or I'm already a speedrunner and I like speedrunning roguelikes, I want to know more about this. Is there a place people could go for resources about the speedrun of this?
If you go to the speedrun.com page, I've written a short little guide there. You can ask questions there, and I'd be happy to answer them. I'm currently the only person like who actively runs this game. There have been a few others, like Spleen has one of the world records, and wrote a guide a while ago. But yeah, check out the speedrun.com/DOD, I believe. And there's some stuff there, you know, videos, obviously. But yeah,
And
definitely recommend getting into this.
yeah, and don't forget, you're also running this at Frost Fatales as well.
I am certainly running it at Frost Fatales again. Leggy will be on commentary for that once again, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
And Leggy, you have a run as well, don't you, for Frost Fatales?
Yeah, if folks were around over on Thursday, you saw me racing Sanjan in Final Fantasy I Pixel Remaster, and I'm hoping to get my revenge in Frost Fatales.
Well, that's a great reason to tune in outside of everything else. But if you all were going, if anyone wanted to follow any one of y'all, where would they be heading off to?
You can find me at Alice Rajasu on Twitch or Rajasu55 on YouTube, and just look for Rajasu on various other social media sites and such.
As it turns out, there's not a lot of other people on the internet named Leggy Starscream, so if you see a Leggy Starscream somewhere, it's probably me.
Well, thank you both for showcasing that amazing run. Did you want any other shout-outs? Did you want any last words? Anything else along those lines?
Just thanks so much for having me.
Of course, Leggy, any shout-outs?
It's been a blast. I've really appreciated how much I've been pulled into Hotfix this week.
Well, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate all of y'all coming in here. And do not forget, chat, we're not done yet. Well, we are finished with that one. We still have some great games coming up here in a little bit. We got Sonic P06 coming up here in a little bit. So now is a great time while we get things set up to get up, stretch, get some water, hydrate, get a little snack if you're interested. We got so much more coming up, but we're gonna take a small break where we get things set for Sonic P06. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the Bargain Bin here. By the way, in case you missed it, GDQ's next all-women and femme speedrunning event, Frost Fatales, is coming up March 3rd through the 10th. The schedule is, in fact, out now. Use !FF in Twitch chat to learn more about that information. Prize submissions are now open until February 28th as well. Head on over to gamesdonequick.com/FrameFatales for more information about that. Speaking of events, do not forget Unapologetically Black and Fast will be live on February 16th through the 19th. Come on over and celebrate by watching a four-day event full of speedruns and black joy. Use !UBAF in Twitch chat for more information. And of course, if you missed that previous run or missed some of GDQ 2024 and you don't necessarily know where to go or you can't figure out where it is on the Twitch, do not worry. We have that all on YouTube broken individually. You can check out all the VODs on youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And hey, while you're there, be sure to press the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can head on over to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. And of course, do not forget your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel. Do help support Games Done Quick Hotfix. If you enjoy watching speedruns, consider subscribing to this channel. Now, we got Sonic P06 coming up here. We got Stella over here going to be doing some amazing runs, but I have a little announcement that I was told to bring it up, and I'm going to try my best to make sure that I do this correctly. So in this, there is effects for spins. We're going to have a poll running basically kind of throughout this run, and for using one channel point, whatever is in the lead at each individual level, Stelmo is going to go ahead and change the spin effect to that one. So you, chat, get to choose at the end of each individual level what we can and cannot see for spin effects. Did I do that right, Stelmo?
You sure did. Thank you so much.
Good.
Killed it.
Awesome. Well, how are you doing today?
Oh, absolutely fantastic, Midnight. Thank you for that awesome intro. My name's Stelmo98. I've got Philip is Cold with me on commentary, and we're here bringing you Sonic Project 06, Shadows, any percent. Let's go ahead and get this run started in 3. Oh, hold up. We don't want to see those splits on screen. That ruined the immersion. Go ahead and get rid of those. It wouldn't be a Sonic
immersion
game without a little jank. Let's see. Are they gone? Could be. Gotta spend
Looks
my
good
128K. Alrighty. Looks like, let's see. Looks like, is my camera off? What happened? Oh no, everything's falling apart.
We'll fix it.
This is what happens when you have Stelma on your stream.
Hey, it wouldn't be a Sonic game without a few bugs, right? Or a little bit of jank even. Okay, looks like Sonic Project 06 is in the lead for spin effect with 218 votes. Thank you all for voting for that. That's what we're going to run White Acropolis with, and then the next stage, we'll get started there. So, time is going to begin when I say go. Sonic Project 06 Shadow any percent in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, if you did not catch the last time we showed this game on Bargain Bin and don't know what a Sonic Project and or 06 are, this is a fan remake in the Unity engine of the original Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 that released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 by Mr. Lead developer Chaos X, as well as a lot of other heavy hitters in the Sonic the Hedgehog modding community, such as Beats, Gotta Play Fast, Jericyclo Gaming, and Mr. Sonic Pox himself on animations. Basically, what it does is it revamps a lot of the stages, revamps pretty much all the characters, the physics, and all that good stuff to transform one of the most infamous video games of all time into one of the best 3D platformer experiences out there. Not just Sonic, 3D platformer experiences in its entirety. I'm glossing over the characters a little bit here as we get started in the run for Shadow, but that's because we got a pretty cool custom cutscene coming up right here.
Shadow, why you?
It's a request from the President. I didn't know that you were the agent who failed to infiltrate the location.
Come on, don't underestimate Rouge the Bat. I got in successfully and got the treasure too. I was only a little slow getting out.
All right, now that Rouge and Shadow have met up, Philip, could you take us away on what we're doing here?
Of course. So normally in Project 06, you want to reach the goal ring to finish level, just like in many other 3D Sonic games. But in Shadow's White Acropolis specifically, you actually have to destroy these searchlights to escape Eggman's complex. So we're going to be using the homing attack to get up here, and also be using Shadow's special action in the air, which is the Chaos Spear. Charging that up will deal some damage and will allow you to destroy these searchlights, and it also gives you a little bit of heights. So that's how we get up here and destroy all the searchlights.
Shadow's Chaos Spear has 2 levels. If we just press the X button, I'm using an Xbox Series X controller. If you just press the X button, you're going to do a single shot that can hit up to 5 targets. That's just going to stun them. If we charge it up to its yellow variant, it's going to fire 5 projectiles that do 1 point of damage, getting rid of those searchlights and moving us into the next stage, Kingdom Valley. And I see that Sonic 06, the original, is winning right now, so I'm going to switch that right here. And Philip, take us away with the hang glider.
All right, so in the original 06 and P06, you have the Shadow's Vehicles, which is kind of like a remnant from Shadow the Hedgehog 2005, which is the GameCube video game. And basically how it works is every 3 seconds, you're able to do a little boost. And you go forward. That's basically it.
That's pretty much it. And Twitch chat, I'm going to need some help in the next hang glider section, counting to 3. I don't want to lose track, of course. But moving back over to Rouge here, we are going to do our first key hunt. So in Kingdom Valley, we have kind of the Sonic Adventure 1 radar here, where we can track any of the keys at any time. Each of these keys have 3 different locations they can be in, with one of those locations being where it was in the original game. Getting pretty bad luck with the 3rd key here, getting it in its retail spot. We obviously don't want it there because it's normally behind some like enemy gate or some requirement that we have to do where the other 2 are out in the open. Wow, getting horrible luck. Getting 2 of the retail keys with such a strong start with the 1st key. But that's A-okay. We can just use some of Rouge's martial arts, her gliding and her climbing, in order to take down that section there as we move on into the next part, entering yet another vehicle, the hover car.
Oh boy, we love vehicles. All right, so Shadow's hover car, as the name suggests, it hovers. So we'll be using that to hover over these stuff like water and other stuff that you can't really walk on. Shadow has air shoes, but he needs to hover car for some reason. I'm not going to ask questions about that. But yeah, we're going to be using that to like cross bodies of water and stuff. So we'll be seeing more of that later. But that's it for now.
Absolutely. One thing I didn't mention is that the stages in the original Sonic 06 and Sonic Project 06 are divided into sections. So whenever we refer to Section 1, Section 2, or Section 3, that is just kind of like how the stages are divided up between loading screens and such. Speaking of a Section 3, here we are in Section 3 of Kingdom Valley. Talk a little bit about Shadow's general movement. We do have the spin dash back. Funnily enough, this was not an ability he had in the original game. Guess they wanted to make him more unique from Sonic, but thankfully the devs behind Project 06 added it back in here, and thank goodness, because it really speeds up his stages. Additionally, we have the homing attack, the aforementioned Chaos Spear, which I didn't mention, that the Chaos Spear, we can do up to 3 spears in the air before we have to do a homing attack or land on the ground to reset the counter. And each individual Chaos Spear gives us a little bounce upward, gaining a little bit of extra height. We're not going to be seeing it too much in the run, but it's pretty useful for throughout, especially if I make a mistake, because it gives me the chance to save myself. In addition to that, this up again. I would normally have to jump in the air, do a jump dash, do a Chaos Spear, and then I would be able to do a second jump dash. However, if I press the A and X button, which is the jump and the Chaos Spear button at the same time, I'm able to bypass the Chaos Spear and just do a straight up second homing attack. With the custom homing attack style of Legacy, which allows us to preserve our direction, we're able to get Shadow to move through these stages. Pretty great stuff. Let's see, looks like Project 06, Sonic Adventure 2, makes sense, is ahead with 404 votes. We need some some votes for Sonic Adventure 1.
Shadow, don't be late. You're talking to me?
Despite being the namesake, that was the only time we are going to be seeing Sonic during this entire run. Be sure to tell Midnight, let GDQ know if you want to see Project 06 on the bargain bin again for that Sonic DLC. Philip, why don't you take us away on kind of how the physics work in Project 06?
Yeah, so basically how the physics work is that they're very similar to how they work in games like Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, in that, especially for Shadow, because he has the most like traditional moveset, I would say, where you can spin dash, as you can see here. This is a very long section downwards, so you get to see a lot of the spin dash that was newly added. And yeah, so if you're familiar with those adventure-era Sonic games, you'll basically have the general gist of how they move and how they work.
And what I talked about earlier, that the stages are revamped, the stages are actually probably the least changed element of Project 06 compared to the original game. Because the original game, if you've been on YouTube at all within the last 10 years, you've probably come across a video or two that talks about how 06's level design is like one of the few redeeming factors of it. Your mileage may vary on the rest of the game, but I would definitely agree with that sentiment. And it's really cool to be able to run through these stages with these characters and their new moves and new physics and all that kind of stuff. Really takes advantage of the level design that Sonic Team created. What you saw me do right there is activate Chaos Boost, and I think a certain Shadow fan would like to talk about that.
Yes, I would. I love the Chaos Boost. So this ability, once you've filled up your Chaos meter in the corner, you can activate Chaos Boost. He gets this red ketchup aura. And what it does is basically it unlocks for each level of Chaos Boost. There are 3 levels plus a 4th secret one. You basically unlock a new ability. So here we can see him use the first ability, which is the Chaos Snap. Now, not only... Whoa! That trick is really hard.
Yeah, hardest trick to run right there.
Yeah. So basically what it does is it extends your homing attack and also does a little bit extra damage. So that's a really nice ability to have.
All right, chat, count with me. 1, 2, 3.
3.
1, 2, 3.
3.
1, 2, 3.
This is riveting gameplay.
So there's a little space in between the level design and the kill plane that we can just use the hang glider to fly there. So really simple section as we jump into Shadows Section 4. Section 4 here is probably the most unique. Crisis City is also Shadow's longest stage. It's got a whole lot of set pieces and such, just to make it a little bit different from Sonic's. But a cool thing is that Shadow is the only character to go through Section 4 in this way. Silver actually goes through it in a unique way as well, leaving this section, going to a different one, and then coming back to this one because he has a bit of slower gameplay compared to the other 2 hogs. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Let's see, Philip, I did want to ask you, what is your history with speedrunning in Sonic Project 06?
All right, so yeah, my name is Philip Cole. You might have got that by now. And I started speedrunning this in the Shadow release, which is when Shadow was first added. This was before like Silver and stuff. And I basically only specialize in Shadow. I don't really touch the other categories. So like Shadow is like, it's my thing, you know? So that like, I don't really touch all the other stuff, basically. That is sure.
Yeah, I got the Shadow expert here with me. No, you're all good. Sonic Adventure 1 is winning, so we're going to be switching to that. I want to do a quick shout out to Mr. Beats, who I mentioned before helped with the creation of Project 06. He made he made a very quick mod for me for this particular showcase where I can change the spin effects on the fly. Normally you have to go into an extra menu, but quick shout outs to him for that. Using a move called the Cyclone Kick here, we're going to be seeing a lot more of that later in the run, so we'll talk about it then. And as Philip mentioned, we use level 1 of Chaos Boost in Crisis City, and there are actually 3 unique levels of Chaos Boost, where we're actually going to be skipping level 2 and level 3 and going straight into level 4, uninhibited mode. Philip, you want to talk about the secret upgrade?
Oh yeah, so once you get to level 4 of Chaos Boost, you unlock Yellow Mode, or as it actually called, it's called Uninhibited Mode. It's seen in a cutscene in the original game, but Chaos is added like into the actual game, and it functions very similarly to like Super Transformation, to like Supersonic and stuff. So what it does is it makes you invincible. It turns all of your Chaos Boost abilities to the max. To the max that it can go, and instead of draining rings, it drains your chaos meter in the corner. As you can see, it's going down, and once it goes down to 0, you'll actually get like kind of a time penalty where Shadow has to recharge. So you kind of like have to balance like defeating enemies to collect the chaos drives so that you can keep your gauge up. But as you can see here, now Stelmo reset at the start of the section here, so it didn't need to take that penalty. Which is a little speedrunning trick you can do.
Yeah, thankfully, as a bit of a sanctuary, I suppose, Chaos made it to where it does not give you the penalty in automation, so Shadow wouldn't, like, be on a springer in a jump panel and then just immediately fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
But in Flame Core Section 2, we're going to be doing some pretty simple movement with Rouge and Shadow. With Rouge, we actually have to hit 5 orbs, which I know are pretty popular around the GDQ parts. Throw your orb in chat if that's still a meme. I don't know, I'm a boomer. But
I feel like it's always going to be
midnight. Midnight. If there are any questions in chat, or if you have any questions yourself about Project 06, now would be a perfect time to ask it.
So I didn't see many in chat, but let's just for the people that are VOD, that may be watching this on YouTube and maybe don't understand why there's a difference between Sonic 06 and Project 06. And I know for some people that may be like but why? Like why did this become a thing?
This became a thing because Sonic 06 is viewed in the general public as a terrible, terrible, terrible game with a amazing amount of potential. One of the biggest things that people bring up about the original game is that it was very rushed for the 15th anniversary deadline. So there was a lot of stuff that was shown off, or not even shown off, that was kind of left on the cutting room floor for it. And the ability to remake it in a fan remake and have as much time, like the PO6 devs, since they aren't like part of a company or anything, have to please investors or anything like that. And because Sonic Team and Sega are so gracious in allowing people to create free fan games with their IPs, it was able to just kind of flourish into something really incredible. And a lot of people consider this, I myself consider this, the pinnacle of a 3D Sonic experience and just an incredible 3D platformer overall. And again, absolutely free. So very cool stuff. Great question. Thank you. Moving on into Radical Train here. We have to hit 2 different checkpoints where we have to defeat Eggman's train with Shadow using his Cyclone Kick. Philip, if you want to do a very quick summary of the Cyclone Kick here.
All right, so the Cyclone Kick, it's really good. You want to use it in combat. So basically how it works is that when you press the button to use it, you'll start doing the kick, and the more you press it, the bigger the hitbox will get. And the hitbox constantly hits the enemy, so it's gonna like absolutely shred foes with health bars. So and you can use it while moving. So like it's really good for that.
Really good. We're going to go ahead and jump into the bike here, the third of the 4 vehicles that we're going to see in this run. The bike has a boost as well, but we don't want to use it too much or else this train's going to rubber band. And I activated Shadow's Chaos Boost before I hopped into the bike because as a cool little nod to Shadow the Hedgehog 2005, the GameCube Xbox game, when Shadow is in his Chaos Boost, he gets infinite ammo in his vehicles. We haven't seen it in the hang glider, but the hang glider has a missile weapon, and normally you have to like wait for the ammunition to reload. But since we're in Chaos Boost, we don't have to worry about it, just like in Shadow the Hedgehog with those Chaos powers, which is pretty freaking sweet. The original Sonic 06's Spinball winning by 1 vote. I think we need to see some extra votes for Adventure 2, but that's just me. Here we go into Aquatic Base. We are going to talk about the Cyclone Kick some more here, watching it absolutely shred all the opposition here. Yeah. As Philip talked about, the hitbox is a sphere around Shadow, which goes above and below. So you saw me be able to use the Cyclone Kick to defeat those worms before they even popped out of the ground. Also, by the way, these purple worms have the most health out of any enemy in the game. Just for reference. But here we go, switching over to Silver, making a reappearance on the bargain bin here. Philip, I think you have a pretty good summary of Silver's abilities.
Yeah, so Silver, he can float, he can make things float, and he can float those things into enemies to kill them. That's it. That's all you need to know.
That's it. Go watch the bargain bin run of Silver Any Percent if you want to learn more about him. Switching back to Shadow though, obviously Silver's a lot more nuanced than that. We just don't really have time to go into it since he is a main character. But here we go, seeing the Cyclone Kick again, but I'm actually going to activate Chaos Boost level 3 with the Chaos Blast taken straight from Shadow's titular game once again. One really cool thing about Project 06 is all the references to other games, especially other adventure era games in the past, which is just some really neat stuff. Being able to see all these mechanics not only brought back, but fleshed out in a new way. To really round out the experience and make these characters feel really unique because, of course, they've had a lot of different abilities over the series. So as we go from Chaos Boost level 1 all the way up to uninhibited mode, which is level 4, the drain of the action gauge increases. So in order to preserve my Chaos Boost and go to level 4 immediately, I stayed in Chaos Boost level 3 right there because there's not quite enough enemies in order to keep it going if we were to activate it earlier. And we're going to do this really sick fight room. Hey, there we go.
There you
We
go.
got to see one extra ability too, the Chaos Lance. We get that upgrade at level 2 Chaos Boost. Our base spear turns into the yellow variant that I mentioned earlier, and then the charge version turns into a projectile that does a bunch more damage. In uninhibited mode, we can use that stronger variant without having to charge it, and we can also target five projectiles at once, which is pretty sick. But moving on into our final hang glider section here. Count to 3 if you'd like to in chat.
Oh, God.
I also see we got a lot of Sonic Adventure 2 votes on the spin effect, so I'll switch to that as well, which is pretty awesome. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the PO6 dev team, like I mentioned already. They've created an absolutely awesome game, and I'm so happy we've gotten to showcase it so many times over the GDQ Hotfixes. Maybe one day we'll get it into one of the biannual events, but I'm super happy to be here. Shout outs to Philip is Cold for being with me on comms. It's been awesome having you here. Additionally, I want to shout out the PO6 speedrunning community Discord. If you're interested in anything about this game, really, you can join that. That's a fantastic hub in order to ask questions, get into speedrunning, and myself, Philip, and a ton of other folks are willing to jump in and help out there. Additionally, this game is absolutely free. Like I talked about before, you can download it off of Chaos X's YouTube channel. I believe links to both the Discord and the game itself will be in the chat. So be sure to check those out if this interests you at all.
Yeah.
Literally costs no time. So you're good. We got Omega here, which I know a certain #1 Omega fan is dying to talk about, but I think I rambled on just a little bit too long.
No!
I know. Just a little bit too long
We'll see him later.
for that, but we'll see him later. Cool little cutscene there. Omega teasing another ability that he didn't have in the original game, and we're going to switch back to Shadow here. There's normally this giant section where we use his 4th vehicle, the buggy, which is in all sense of the word just a worse bike. But we don't need it because we can just spin dash right to the switch and continue on here. I'm actually going to turn back around and grab this checkpoint because it's very easy
Good
to
idea.
die here. Yeah, no, I'm not taking any chances. It's very easy to die in this last section of Wave Ocean because we actually have some new level design here. I'm going to use that wall right there. The characters have very interesting properties when they go up against slanted inclines in this game. They get extra height, so we're able to use that there. Using that Titan, we call him Dave because he helps us cross that gap here in Wave Ocean. Using that Badnik Bounce, returning, honestly, from the classic games. The Badnik Bounce is in like the earlier 3D Sonic games and a lot of the Sonic games after, but it's not nearly as good as it was in the classics, and they definitely take a lot more inspiration from the classics in PO6 here. So really cool stuff. Philip, you maybe want to mention something about the time of day here?
Before we leave Wave Ocean, I just want to mention the daytime here. Normally, in Sonic 06, it's just straight up daytime, but as you can see right now in Shadow section, it's sundown. And in PO6, the developers have basically changed so each story's respective Wave Ocean is in a different time of day. So that's just a really cool detail, and the visuals in this game are just really nice. Shout outs to the dev team.
Yeah, honestly, shout outs to the dev team for everything. They're so amazing. They're so amazing. Just so much cool stuff in this game. You know, something kind of weird's happening at the beginning of Dusty Desert here. I thought we were supposed to like go around through a bunch of pillars or something like that, Philip.
Yeah, that's really boring, and luckily the devs knew that, so they've been gracious enough to leave a little debug trigger at the end there of the pillar, of the chain of pillars you're supposed to go through, that just opens the door for you. So instead of like taking up to a minute through the section, you'll only be like around 20 seconds, which is real nice.
But now we get to talk about something way more interesting. Omega! Philip, take it away. I know you're itching.
So Omega controls like a combination of a lot of different mechs we've seen throughout the series, and I basically call him like an amalgam of how he plays in Heroes, how like the SA2 mechs play with the P shooter you can use to like shoot little shots all over the place. And yeah, he has this Heroes ground combo. He has some of his moves from 06, like the air shot, which are like powerful projectiles you can shoot in there. And he also has a secret move that we'll be seeing later that I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil it. We saw it against Mephiles, but that's not just a cutscene move. And it's a good thing that Project 06 is really good at, is that honestly, if there's any like fan move or just like, man, I wish I could use this move on a Sonic character in 3D, it's probably in this game. And one of those moves for me is being able to just mow down the opposition with Omega in Gatling gun mode here. We have a limited amount of ammo, but we don't really have to worry about that because we get extra ammunition by defeating enemies, a la Doom. As defeating enemies give us these energy cores that fly into our character automatically. So if you're wondering where those energy things came from in Generations, you actually have the original Sonic 06 to thank for that. That's a modern element that that started here, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
but now that we're done with Omega's Dusty Desert here, he is the bulk of the stage.
Goodbye, Omega.
We're going to be switching back to Shadow for just a little bit. Welcome to the worst room in the game. Across all 3 stories, this room, if you don't go through it in that specific way, it doesn't feel good at all. And honestly, it doesn't even feel good to go through it in that optimal way either. That's the one that feels the least bad.
Whatever you do, don't fall in the sand.
Don't fall in the sands or else you're going to have a bad time. Shadow's story, I should say, is the most RNG heavy of the 3 stories. We've got 2 key hunts, which we're going to be seeing the next key hunt very soon. And we've also got those sand waves. The height of the sand wave is random. All right, looks like for our final spin effect, we're going to be ending with the default one. How appropriate.
Also, by the way, goodbye, Shadow. This is the last we'll see of him. The next stage is Rouge's Tropical Jungle. So we decided to include this extra stage in the speedrun because we like playing game. So, decided to include all the stages. And
we basically got another key hunt, except we only 2 of the 3 keys are randomized. So a little bit easier. Time is going to... Rouge wanted to take a dip in the water there.
Yeah,
there had to be one death, right? Train of thought is gone. Time is going to be when I hit the goal ring in this stage. But anyway, so I guess to move on, I have a fun fact about Rouge that has nothing to do with Project 06. I believe this is a rumor, but there have been a couple sources that says this is true. When Sega of America was creating Sonic Adventure 2, they needed a 3rd character for the Dark Side story. And they were stationed either in or near Baton Rouge, California, or Baton Rouge, Los Angeles. I don't know. Things are weird around here. The Baton Rouge the Bat, you get the idea. And that's time as we finish up Shadow's run in Project 06.
Let's go.
I really hope you guys enjoyed. There is some extra stuff if we do have time, but if not, it was an absolute honor to be on here as always.
Yes.
No
deaths.
Yes.
No deaths.
No deaths. Yeah, still counts as deathless. I saw that in chat just now.
Louisiana. LA stands for Louisiana. I am American. And I knew that.
All right, American. Good job.
That makes way more sense. Do we have time for some extra stuff midnight, or are we good to go on to Ori? Like 5 minutes or less, whatever you need. Oh, all right, sick. We've got some extra stuff to show off in Project 06, and we actually get to see the blue guy, which is super exciting.
What?
So, in the extras menu, you're able to access P06's test stage, which has a ton of goodies. You can play around with any of the characters that you want. There are tons of enemies to defeat. To check out all this stuff, a little tease here using Sonic with his gem abilities. Again, let GDQ know if you want to see Sonic's any %. It is probably the most crowd-pleasing run in the entire game. But if we head into section 2 of the test stage and we run up to this mirror to the very top of the pillar here, we are going to enter a unused TGS menu, which I forgot about, and then we get to do Shadow's Kingdom Valley. So back in 2005, there was a Tokyo Game Show demo for Sonic 06 that looks nothing like the original game. It used the first section of Sonic's Kingdom Valley, but in the files, Chaos found that there were unused layouts for the TGS version of Kingdom Valley for both Shadow and Silver. Shadows is the most interesting as we get to play through his Section 3 of Kingdom Valley, but in reverse. And I'm going to go ahead, just for the heck of it, and give this one shot here to try a pretty difficult trick. This is going to be Shadow's Castle Skip. If you're in the chat from my community, you know what to do if we are able to get it, but it's very difficult to do with Shadow. So we're going to see if it happens here.
Let's see here.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was not it.
Oh, okay. Ground's being rough. Castle Skip Hog. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Nice.
Too easy. Alrighty, that was just one thing. If we have some more time, there is one more extra we can show with Shadow specifically here, which I think would make sense. Wow, 59,999. Scraping that sub-minute by the skin of my teeth there. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go for it. And yell at me if I need to stop. But there is one more thing. We're good? All right, cool. So there's one more thing in the test stage here. We're just going to grab these speed shoes and run over this way with Sonic. Just a little longer. See, we didn't rehearse this part, so we don't have anything to talk about right now.
Come on, Sonic, go faster.
Sonic goes fast. If we enter this portal, if you liked the bike and some Shadow the Hedgehog music, listening to the Lethal Highway track, we get to play around in a Sonic and the Secret Rings test stage, which is really funny that it looks so much like a road, considering kind of how that game plays and feels. There's no real objective here. We just get to ride around in Shadow's motorcycle and feel really cool as we do, I guess, some tricks off of the jump ramps and stuff, and just kind of get to go around, maybe seeing how many laps we can do. But that was all of Sonic Project 06 and everything that you can do with Shadow. Again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. It's always a pleasure to be able to play for GDQ, and want to give huge shout outs once again to GDQ for allowing us to invade for about 30 minutes. So thank you so much, and definitely stick around for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, because I have not played that game. I hear it's very good, and it's a Metroidvania, and I love Metroidvanias. So please check that out if you can. Philip, do you have any quick final words?
Final words, play the game. It's fun.
Absolutely free.
That's it, really.
So let me, if I can, let me ask one question for you all real fast, since we're doing this. I've actually, surprisingly, and I will admit this, Sonic is a franchise that I've never really gotten into. I grew up with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and then I got into PlayStation because of Final Fantasy VII.
I see.
So, but
good choice.
I just got my first Genesis.
Oh wow!
Oh really?
So is Sonic like for this? For someone who's never played Sonic before, is this a good beginner's game?
If you like 3D games, I would say yes. One, because the entry level, minus the like $1,500 computer you need to run it right now, because it's in the demo phases, so it's pretty unoptimized. It is, if you got the PC to run it, this game is an absolutely great starting point. There's plenty of checkpoints, you're able to restart sections, so you're able to restart chunks of levels. If you fail them, you're able to download save files with infinite lives like I have here in order to do that. So yeah, I would absolutely say this is a great starting point. There's tons of resources on the internet as well to help you get started in Project 06 too. So never tried out the series before or just want a good 3D platformer, Project 06, absolutely recommend. Very good.
Yes.
And
100%.
well, I know you all given a lot of shout outs and a lot of thanks, and I really appreciate that. And of course, if anyone's interested, they can go back and see the VOD for all that information. You all, what are your, how can people follow y'all?
I'm Stumble98 everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Discord, Twitter, X, that. So if you liked my goofy self as I played through this game and commentated with Philip, you can check me out there.
Yeah. I am also Philip is Cold everywhere. When I once in a blue moon stream on Twitch, I will probably be streaming Sonic Project 06, so make sure to drop in on that. And my Twitter, I don't really do much there, so feel free to follow that if you want to. If you want to see me retweet some Sonic art.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You done? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. You could also follow Chaos X on Twitter. He's at ChaosX2006. Again, he's the lead developer of the project. He posts very frequent updates because the next release coming after this is going to contain the final stage, End of the World, and all of the boss fights. Again,
Ooh.
all free. Revamped End of the World and revamped boss fights. And his words, not mine, he says he's going to go off.
Ooh,
Yeah.
can't wait for that.
So,
well,
let's go.
yeah, thank you both so very much for showcasing that. It was a fantastic run. But again, we're not done here today here on the Bargain Bin. Like they all were saying, we got one fantastic game, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, coming up next. For those that are new, while we get things set up here, this is a great time to get up, stretch, get a snack, get some water. Hydration is very important. So this is a good time to get all of that while we get things set up for our next game, Ori. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Bargain Bin. I'm still Midnight Vesper. Hey, do not forget, by the way, for some future announcements, Game Zone Quick's all women and femme speedrunning event, Frost Fatalis, is coming up soon. Coming up March 3rd through the 10th. Schedule is now out. Use !FF in Twitch chat to learn more. Submissions are now open until February 28th as well. Head on over to gamesdonecquick.com/FrameForTals for more information. And also, let's not forget about Unapologetically Black and Fast. That's coming up quicker. That's going to be coming up February 16th through the 19th. So come celebrate by watching a 4-day event full of speedruns and black joy. For more information on that, use !UBAF in chat. And now, one of my favorite things. Also, I forgot to mention before I go any further, do not forget that coming up. Let me make sure I got the right information here. Give me one moment here. We got coming up here in just a little bit. After this is Express Lane. They have an amazing amount of shows coming up here. So while this may be the last one for the Bargain Bin for a little while, do not worry about it because we got Express Lane coming up. So definitely stay tuned for that. But as for right now, we got Ori and the Will of the Wisps by Bellers. I don't know why I can't say the word wisp. I don't know why I can't say that, but Bellers, maybe you can do a better job of saying it than I can.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we're going to be playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I'm Bellers Bomb, or Bellers, and I've been speedrunning Ori for about, I want to say 6 to 8 months. Can't remember exactly when I started. So I'm relatively new in the grand scheme of Ori speedrunning. But I'm a former world record holder, not current one. That goes to Scarfelt. And I'm just really excited to show you this game. Right now we're going to be playing Main Quest Order, which is a category, it's most probably beginner-friendly category in Will of the Wisps, where we have to collect all the wisps, kill all the bosses, do all the escapes, and we can't do like out of bounds or any like major glitches like that. And yeah, we also, as the name suggests, Main Quest Order, we have to do certain main quests dubbed by the speedrun community in, the correct order, and we can't really go out of order. And yeah, I'm super excited. I'm joined by my two commentators, 2Kill and Seal. Seal, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, I am Seal.
Nice. And Duka.
Yeah, hi, I'm 2Kill.
Excellent work. So yeah, can't wait to show you this run. I think we're gonna be ready to start now. Let's start time in 3, 2, 1. So first thing we're gonna do is do the skip prologue and then QTM. It skips about I want to say 2-minute sequence, but it can't be exactly off right. And now we're on.
Yeah, so early game here, we're gonna be looking to pick up Spirit Light. So Bellas is playing loadless timer optimized run, which is what we would normally do on the leaderboards. So you're going to be seeing a few more quitter menus than you might usually see in like the marathon run for this. It's mainly because quitter menus save less time. Bellas here going over a really neat trick. Nice, gets it. We're going to see something really funny here. So we've got this falling animation. Usually you're stuck during this. Obviously Bella's managing to break that. We're going to jump across the screen during that animation, saves a bunch of time. How much time does that save? Like
I want to say about 2
seconds.
Something? It's pretty precise because you have to do the earlier QTM to set it up. But yeah, it's a nice little early game time save.
Yes, we have picked up our first temporary weapon here, the torch. The torch is very interesting because it makes us very, very, very floaty, unlike any other. Use attacks here to maintain momentum and sort of like flow across the screen, because Bell's using it right here to skip. There's a combat arena below us which forces into killing some enemies, which is slow. We're going to use the torch here to float across the screen and hit and get across there when we wouldn't normally be able to. We're also going to be doing a very, very difficult jump here. Bella's nice one, gets it first time. This is called Keystone Jump. Usually you can grab onto that blue moss, but because we have the torch in hand, we're not able to. So you have to do a very, very finicky jump and then doing an intentional damage tank here to get back over. And we're already heading over back towards sort of the first like boss fight / escape, but it's generally pretty easy.
For sure. That was very, very easy.
Yeah, maybe to explain a bit more about the MQO. It's not just arbitrary quests that we picked out, but if you pause, there is like small symbols of all the bosses and some of the escapes that you do in the game, and that is kind of what we take for our main quest order. And one of the first bosses we see there is this wolf that you just saw in the background. This is Howl. He will introduce us to some mechanics, but very important, we first put out the torch because otherwise we soft block. And now we get into our first escape sequence and then our first fight. And let me tell you, this fight has been optimized lately. There's been some labbing with how to optimize it, what the perfect setup is. And I do remember some streams ago that you got the perfect setup, correct?
Yeah, it is. For the setup that I'm playing on, you have to be frame perfect and pixel perfect to do it right. So, you know, don't quite expect that. But if you're playing on, say, 59 FPS, then it's pretty easy. Oh, oops. That's actually... Alright, a little bit of a clunky fight, but that was fun.
Yeah, hold Yeah, so what we're looking to try and avoid there, which is bullshit bells, is to just avoid getting hit on that first attack, because it bounces you to the other side of the arena and costs you a couple of seconds. But overall, not a big deal either way. Hell generally goes down pretty quick. Something like 12 torch swings in a row, and they're going to go down. We're going to be picking up our first permanent ability in just a second, which is the sword. So you might be thinking a sword here. Obviously, we're going to be using that for a bunch of combat. Sort of, yeah and no. Actually, we're going to be doing very minimal amount of combat with the sword. We're mainly going to be using the sword as a movement tool, combining it with other abilities will allow us to basically gain extra momentum, gain extra velocity, get extra distance, which we wouldn't otherwise be able to do some cool tricks, which we're going to see Bella's doing right now. So this is Sultry Hover. Gonna be doing some nice pulse force as well. Nice one. That is extremely hard. And if you mess it up, it costs you 30 seconds or so of time. So should get some claps in the chat for Bella's up again. That first time.
Very important that we get that first try. It would be quite a bummer if we didn't get it.
Yeah, and Halsten is just packed with everything. We're getting more Spirit Light for our setup later. We're getting another ability in combination with the sword later on. But for now, we just skip another combat arena because it's not the time to fight just yet. And instead, we're going around, some other way and picking up our double jump. It does exactly what it sounds like. We're doing the skip here on the tree to be able to skip the animation. This is not possible on every tree, at least not in this very easy way. But we will see how Bella's goes about this. With some nice sword jumping, pretty much just, alternating between jump and sword, we can get some more distance, vertical and horizontal if you choose to. And yeah, if you've played the game casually, you might be wondering, isn't there a keystone down there that we need? Well, yes and no. You can decide to get this, but there is a skip coming up, which, well, just means that we don't need it. It's a keystone door skip, and it's one of the most infamous tricks in the early game. There are some setups we can do to make this easier. Bella's here opting for the QTM setup, which resets the enemies around us. And we will see if this is a first try trick, but don't bank on it. It is a very hard trick, and potentially we could be here a while. But nope, first try, easy.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. You can get stuck on that trick for a really long time, especially that variant. There are easier setups for that, but yeah, that can be quite a pain.
Yep. Bella's with making this run look easy. I can promise you it is definitely not. So, as we're going through here, we're going to see Bella's killing a bunch of slimes. So, our first objective for Spirit Light, the first time we're going to visit a shop, we want to hit 400 Spirit Light. That's going to allow us to unlock one of the most broken abilities in the game, especially when used not intentionally. So we're going to be seeing Bella's here. We're going to be killing just enough slimes here to get to exactly 400. It's actually faster than going out of a way to find a different Spirit Light container. He's also just picked up a Shard. So Shards are equipable passives, and this Shard he's got is Reckless, which allows us to deal more damage, and we also in turn take more damage. I think it's 15% for each. What this does very nicely in the early game, it means that slimes and some of these wooden doors that we can hit, they will die in one less hit. So it's just like a little bit more optimization we'll get in the early game, which allows us to, save some time.
Yeah, getting up now, we're getting to the NPC. This movement up here is optimized because this game is extremely smooth in everything it does. So whenever you hit an enemy, you refresh your double jumps, and that's kind of what we are abusing here. And we're also making a quick detour here for the shard that is here, that is Resilience, which, well, does kind of what it sounds like as well. It makes us more resilient to the environment, so we take less damage. And upcoming is a pretty hard movement trick, where we try to skip a cutscene by simply avoiding the trigger by going over it. So we need to maneuver around this wall where it doesn't look like there are hitboxes, but we can go up to this tree and hover above it and easily done. We are at the shopkeeper now, and we've acquired Sentry. And Sentry allows us to do this, which is not supposed to happen, but since this game is so smooth in its movement, canceling momentum from different weapons kind of leads to unexpected results like this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll bring your attention now to the middle left of the screen. We have 3 blue circles. This is our energy count. To cast Sentry, to use Sentry, every Sentry jump that we're going to use is going to cost us 1 energy until a little bit later on where we'll get a Shard, which makes it a little bit more lenient. But we're going to be very, very careful with our energy routing through this early part of the run. And every time Bella's puts the menu and loads back in, we will get 1 energy back, which sometimes you'll see Bella's do some intentional QTMs here. Also, as is the early game of Ori, we've suddenly picked up another ability. This is Bow. This is going to be our main combat ability coming throughout the run. Also costs energy to fire. But for now, we're going to be doing... we're going to be collecting an energy cell, which will increase our max energy every time we collect 2. Bella's is also going to be completing the puzzle in this area by shooting 2 ice stones, or shooting 2 blue spheres to get access to 2 ice stones, which you need to continue into the next area, which is...
Yeah, also Bella is demonstrating that these mosquitoes are the most annoying enemies in this game. They troll every single runner, so... Yeah,
mosquitoes are hated both in real life and in Ori. Everyone hates these things.
Yeah, they have random spawn and random movement patterns. So sometimes they will just get in the way when you're just like, can you move? And they will just sit there like, no. And it's like, okay, thank you very much. Like, thank you for killing my run. But yeah, Bella's getting through the not too much trouble. We'll have a little bunk on the first attempt on the sunship. That's fine. So we're coming up to another very, very, very difficult trick here. This is hollow swim, or sometimes people call it dash swim. So what we're going to be doing here is usually to go to this area, you need to go to some levers, pull it. The water in the area will slowly drain down. It takes a bunch of time. We don't really have time for that. So what Bella's is going to do is going to do a regen jump here. We're going to dive into the water directly into this pitch black. We're going to hit a save point halfway through, and then using some very nice blind movement here, Bella's through first time, we're now down through that poison water and into the next area of the game where we're going to be grabbing the dash skill without having to do any of that lever pulling, any of that traversing, lowering the water.
Yeah, and as you can imagine, dash is going to speed up our gameplay immensely, so we will be seeing that. For now, we are just moving through the area here. This reload is done to 1, save time on the Liverpool, and to 2, also despawn all the enemies here because they can get in the way, and we are getting our next tree here. So with another QTM to save a bit more in-game time, we now have the dash ability, and we're going to the right. And we will hopefully see a nice skip here of the cutscene, nicely done. Normally, because this is the first big Spirit Light container, we get a hitbox or a text box pop up. And if you're unfortunate enough, you can get that while you are under the crushers, which leads to immediate death. So luckily enough, Bellers avoided that with good movement and is going to pick up another shard here that will enhance our bow for later combat. And we will also be seeing our first instance of a wave dash, I believe.
Yep.
So how wave...
Yes,
yeah,
we
go
will.
ahead.
So the way wave dashes work is, for some reason, if you dash into a wall and then turn around and use regen before the dash completes, you just fly in the other direction at mega speed. So we're just seeing an example there, just in the very simple way again. Now we're doing reverse holosome here. So Bellows is doing what he's doing, but backwards, because we need to get back out this dash area, so we have to go back through this poison water. So again, we're going to hit that save point in the middle, and then we're going to do a very, very nice regen center dash here and through first time as well. So I just talked about how we don't need to lower the water. Why are we now pulling this lever to lower the water? That doesn't make any sense. Well, we actually do need to shoot this purple eyeball, which is over to the right over here. And the only way we can do that in the no advanced category is by lowering the water. So even though we save time dashing, going through the water, we do eventually lower it because this is how we actually continue through to the next area. And as you can see, this is as soon as we get dash, the run salve goes like full crazy mode, and it's hard for me and 2Kill as commentators to keep up with what's going on because there is so much going on.
Yeah, so this cutscene is actually required to watch, hence we don't get a QTM. There are a few of these throughout the run, some longer ones, some shorter ones. This is a nice break in between, and we're coming up to the next combat arena, but we are going to skip it because we don't have our full combat setup just yet. Here you're kind of introduced to the concept of big bosses outside of Hole, but instead we're skipping it and going to the most iconic skill of the first game, and it's definitely still an iconic one here. Balor setting up for the bow cutscene skip gets it very nicely. You have to be precisely in the middle of the tree, shoot a bow at exactly the right moment, and then you can skip the cutscene and walk out of it. Very nicely done. Now has Bash, which allows us to take any enemy or projectile, move it into one direction, move ourselves in the opposite direction, and yeah, dashing and bashing, a great song in the soundtrack, and also a very powerful movement skill. That's it.
100%. I think it's my favorite. This is one of my favorite songs.
It's such an iconic ability. I love that
so
bash so
good.
much.
Yeah. So as you're going to see in here, we're continuing to collect Spirit Light. We do have some more things to buy from shops. We're also collecting more shards. So a little bit early on towards, before we did our upswim, we collected one shard, which is Quick Shot. This shard that we just collected is Splinter. And those two combined turn our measly little bow into what is essentially an automatic shotgun.
Yeah.
So we're going to be using that to, and as you will see, probably in like 10 minutes or so, absolutely destroy anything that we actually have to fight. So Rebellas is going to be using that to great effect. For now, we're doing some more Spirit Light collecting, great optimization of movement here. As we're going to be coming to a cutscene. It's worth mentioning here that we're actually playing on a new community patch, which tries to make things a little bit more fair for the runners. So this cutscene in the past is very finicky. Each runner has to skip the cutscene at a very specific point to get the 200 Spirit Light reward from the quest. And the community patch that has since been fixed, as we see with Bella's doing an awesome wave dash into 2 jumps there to get it back across this arena. And we're going to be heading over into... I forgot the name of it. Glaze. Yes, Wellspring Glaze. My bad. In just a second.
Yeah, this is very cool here. We're not seeing anything, and that's a good thing, because there is normally a cutscene with this NPC over there where the cutscene pans over and you kind of get an introduction, but no, we skipped it by dashing and jumping, and now we're at our next shop buying upgrades to our shards. And this is really where Ori movement shines. We have overcharge now. So remember earlier when Seal said our sentries cost 1 energy each? Now it's half an energy at the low cost of double the damage taken with every single damage hit. So we have this payoff, and obviously Bellers is very experienced with their game. So hopefully he won't take deaths to this. Nice cutscene skip here. There's another trigger here that would normally activate a little cutscene. He gets over it and is now into the wellspring area. So this is our next progression area for the main quest. So we kind of need to do the entire area, and yeah, wellspring is known to be a slow area, so we will try our best to speed it up, but there will be some downtime here.
Yes, it is worth mentioning with the overcharge shadow quit. You do die in generally 2 hits to anything. Some things are actually one-shots, so you gotta be very, very, very careful here. And yeah, you get a lot of leverage out of having all of our energy costs cut in half, but obviously there's a lot of risks there as well. So yeah, we're gonna watching here, unfortunately, an unskippable cutscene. I think we skipped probably like 90% of the cutscenes in this game, which is pretty good considering it is a very narrative-driven game. But unfortunately, there is 1 or 2 there, and the main quest order speedrun will not be able to skip. Luckily, if you haven't played the first game, you have no idea who these people are, so don't worry about it. They're just some people, not a big deal. Yeah, so now we're going to see Bella's doing some nice triple sentry jump. It's also worth mentioning here, we did not talk about aerial sentries. So sentries on the ground are generally seen as not too crazy difficult. Sentries in the air are a frame perfect trick. And the game is running 60 FPS, so you have a 1 in 60 timing window. We need to do those a lot throughout the run, and I don't think Bellows has missed a single one so far, so this tells you a little bit about how good Bellows is at this game. And we're going to be doing here another attempt at a animation skip here. Nice, gets it as well, gets into save and is able to skip the animation. So yeah, so far, absolutely awesome run. We just picked up Grapple. Grapple is cool. Every time you see something that is blue, you can grapple to it. Some things allow us to grapple through it and maintain our momentum. Other things like this blue mouse up here, you would just stick to it. We're going to be using blind grapple generally to optimize our movement. Technically, it's not actually required to finish the speedrun or the game. Like, you can actually play grapple-less in main quest however you want to. But it's actually faster generally to just take grapple because it makes the speedrun so much harder to not have it available.
Yeah, technically, grapple actually isn't needed, but obviously it makes things so much easier.
Yeah, the game is a Metroidvania, so it kind of requires certain skills in many different areas, and grapple is one of these where it's just nice to have, but you can do a whole lot without. And now we're seeing the power of the bow. So with the upgrades, we get more bow shots at once, we have faster bow shots, and with overcharge, it costs less. So our bow is just so powerful that this combat arena, the enemies don't even get to Ori in the time it takes to spawn. And we see another wave dash to this, and a nice cutscene skip here, very nicely done, gets the save to fully skip the dialogue with the NPC here, and can now move on to the next area, where in the vanilla game you would have to go through this wheel 3 times, and you'd have to turn some levers, but nope, we just do a sentry jump here, get up, and ignore the lasers and go through, because we don't need to turn the wheel to actually get through. And that skips a good amount of time and makes us go to the 3rd layer of the wellspring, where we are going to head to our next escape.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning here that we are still collecting Spirit Light. We're almost done. We have 100 more Spirit Light to collect, which is conveniently right next to the last NPC we're going to buy something for. Something from. We're just going to see Bellas again doing some nice sentry jumps here. Unfortunately getting a low one there. Sometimes if your computer lags a little bit, you can get low ones, but nice recovery. Getting the aerials in here. So yeah, we're going to be talking to over here. We're going to be collecting fast travel, which basically allows us to teleport to any spirit world that we have previously visited. And then with a little bit more movement up here, we're going to be doing another cutscene skip attempt, which, if we can get it, nice. So it gets the fastest version of that, where if you pause on the exact frame the cutscene starts, for some reason, unbeknownst to anybody, Ori just dies, and the escape here instantly starts.
Yeah, so what actually happens is that for a minuscule time there, the enemy that kind of follows you spawns, and if you hit that perfect timing, you just land into that hitbox. So you instantly die, skip the dialogue because the game assumes you've already seen it. And now we are in this escape with banger music, banger movement, very satisfying if you play through it, bashing and grappling here. And we're almost done here. We don't get to hear the entire soundtrack, but we get some more lore to watch.
Yeah, probably the saddest part about the speedrun is you miss a lot of the good music.
Yeah.
Like the first minute of that song is like hyping up like the big drop in the music, and it's all like hype. And then if you're a good speedrunner, you finish the escape and the music cuts out before we can even hear the drop in the music.
No, I love the escapes in this game. I think they're the other like with Bash, the escapes in both Ori 1 and 2 are some of the most iconic like sequences. They're so much fun to do and to learn when you're first casually playing through it.
They're also good. They're good areas during the speedrun. They're quite stressful areas because if you die in any escape, you will be reset to the beginning of the escape. So you don't get any second chances in escape. You have to perfect it first time.
Yeah. And now we have cleaned the water. That is kind of why we went to Wellspring in the first place. And this is kind of where a lot of route divergence happens, especially for newer runners. We are kind of, our next goal in the main quest order is to go to our friend in the Silent Woods that we're searching for. However, there is a good chunk of water to get there. And getting our next skill here, which is Water Dash, and speeds up our water movement, is generally faster, as well as it allows us to get a teleporter for later usage, because we have that teleport anywhere ability. We can do this, and Beller's setting up for a nice wave dash into an aerial sentry. Doesn't quite get the aerial sentry immediately, but gets it now. Quits to menu to refresh some of his energy and be able to do more sentry jumps later on. So nice adaptation here. And kind of elaborating a bit more on Seal's point earlier, normally we have certain thresholds of energy where depending on how much maximum energy you have, the amount of energy after a QTM or death changes. So now that Bellers has collected more energy, we also get more back when we QTM, which is really helpful.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so we're in Lumipulse here. Technically, this is not where you would go next as a casual player. We're actually doing a sequence break here. But as Tukil mentioned, we're doing it for a specific reason to pick up a specific skill. This is my favorite trick in the game. This is puzzle skip. You go to this save, you go over and die in a specific area of spikes. When you quit the menu and load back in, you're in a different place. We're now moved positions, we've moved over. And instead of having to, you can see all these little, I don't even know, they're little like
corals.
Anemones. Yeah, the little corals. Usually you have to swim through all of those to unlock and make the wall drop over here. Instead, that's just kind of done. I'd say it's probably like 30 seconds or something. Another cool skip here, this is arena skip. That's a combat arena. Usually when you stand on the bridge, the door closes and we get to have a fight. But if you just swim underneath it, the fight never starts and the door is just there unopened, so we can go travel straight through.
And shoutouts to Sri, who put together the community patch and figured out why this door is sometimes loaded, even if you did everything correct, and just patched that out. So now it's 100% consistent. If you don't go onto the bridge, you don't spawn the enemy room. So shoutouts to Sri again. And we are getting to our next tree. So opening this door, QTMing to skip the cutscene, and we have our water dash. So we will be getting this, and instead of immediately heading to where we are supposed to go, we are first going towards the left and picking up the teleporter that is conveniently right next to a boss we need to fight later. We can't fight it right now because we need to do the quests in the order that they are kind of supposed to be done in. So this getting to the tree part is not part of the main quest, but fighting the boss is, so we can't do that just yet. So instead we're just getting the teleporter.
Fun fact, the boss is not actually there. So if you go to his arena to start a fight, he's not there and you can't do it. So yeah, Bell's here. You don't have to get on the spirit level, you just have to get sort of in close enough to it and it'll unlock it. So it unlocks it. It's also worth mentioning here, so you will have seen Bell's collect 3 what are the things for the door? These are hard. It's okay, doesn't matter.
Alright,
I'll talk about that later. Talk about it later. We're on to Humbug. So this is our first actual boss. So again, this is one of the restrictions of the categories. You have to kill every single boss here. So we're going to be seeing Bellas. And we're going to be seeing the power of the bow in action once again. So there's the reason why we skipped this boss on the first time around and we wait until we have this super powered souped up bow before we start fighting him. Because it turns this fight into like maybe like a 90-second slug into like a 30-second thing where Bells will just absolutely murder Humbug. Getting a little bit unlucky with the patterns here, but even so, that doesn't really matter. Humbug is already dead. What's really nice about Humbug drops a bunch of health and energy, so we can go through the next session without having to worry about our resources so much.
Yeah, and worth mentioning is that Hornberg is not part of the main quest, so even though he is a boss and we need to fight him, we can kind of decide when we want to fight him, so we didn't need to do this arena when we first passed it. Instead, we're going now to Silent Woods, where we were originally supposed to go to, skipping this cutscene, and now we're getting to the swim where we got Water Dash for. Skipping a cutscene here by not touching the ground, very nicely done. Gets the save trigger that avoids the cutscene QTMs to fully avoid it, and now we can go into the water, and with our Water Dash we not only swim faster, but we also skip a cycle here with this enemy that we kind of need to shoot open this door. And we are into our next section, trying to skip another cutscene here by avoiding the trigger. Nicely done. And we are into Silent Woods. This is another very nice movement area with a bunch of hard tricks coming up. But for now, we're just collecting keystones. And remember when we skipped that keystone door right at the beginning? Yeah, this is still helpful because it means we have a keystone more in our inventory and can kind of route our keystone pickups in a better way.
Right.
Yeah, but coming up, very hard trick.
Which is why I was trying to explain. I just couldn't remember what the word keystone, so I was all over the place. But yeah, before we talk about keystones some more, we're going to talk about coup unskip. So what coup unskip is, and the reason one of the big things why we have extra keystone here is there is a cutscene here we need to play. There is a character over here that we need to grab called coup that's part of the main quest. So we've actually just skipped the cutscene that activates coup, which is called coup skip. And now that we've done that, we need to do coup unskip. And the reason why we do this is we can grab an extra forgotten the word again. Keystone. I apologize, everybody. My brain today, my goodness. We get to grab an extra keystone, and through some absolute magic, we're actually able to skip this 60-second cutscene. So even though the cutscene would usually take 60 seconds, we can spend a little bit less time, maybe like 50 seconds or so, grabbing some extra keystones, and we can actually skip the cutscene. And what Bells is going to do here, he's going to grab this save, and because we watched that cutscene up above, where we saw Shriek, we're now going to respawn on Coup for some reason. And then when we activate the cutscene, we actually get dragged because we're already on Coup. Coup spawns behind that stump, and we actually get dragged back into a save, which allows us to basically... The game says, oh, you've watched the cutscene as soon as the cutscene starts, and because we hit the save, we now save that state to say, hey, we've watched the cutscene, so when we quit the menu and come back in, the game thinks we've watched the cutscene, and now we're onto the coup section without having to spend 60 seconds. I hope that was explained sort of okay. It's one of the most complicated and difficult tricks in MQO.
No, it really is. Yeah, no, you did a great job. For this coup section, it's very simple. There's not really, you can't do sentry jumps because we're riding the bird, so we can't really do much tech. There are a couple of cool tricks, but it's just kind of gliding, you know? It's just kind of gliding around the first path. Very reminiscent of early game movement.
Yeah, this section is super chill in both the casual and the speedrun. In the speedrun, there are some optimizations. For example, gliding through this without getting stuck can be a bit difficult, but nicely done on the further option. We'll see. Are you going for bubbleless?
No way.
I am. No. Okay. There's a little, like, tiny time save here, like 0.1 or something, where you can skip the first bubble and just go immediately to the second one. It's extremely precise, and yeah, I can totally understand not going for it. Another cutscene we have to watch, and we're off to, well, one of the most interesting skips of the run, because it's basically be fast, be faster, because you just have to be fast, and you skip a cutscene here. So we'll see the setup, the QTM here, and then Bellers will try to get optimal movement to skip another cutscene, and we will tell you if he gets it or not, because, well, since we're skipping a cutscene, you can't really tell if you don't know what you're looking for. So, I don't think that was fast enough. Oh, it was fast enough! Okay, nicely done.
Wow, nice done. Nice job.
Yeah, it is literally just a time trial. Do you get there fast enough? Cool. You save 10 seconds. Oh, you didn't? Oh, you lost 10 seconds. It's a very unique cut and skip in this run.
It is very hard. I cannot overstate how hard that is. I think I get that like 5% of the time or less. It's extremely challenging. You need near perfect movement, and Bellows again making everything just look easy as Bellows does. So we're going for a little bit of a lorry section here. We've got some forced slow down walking. Our little bird friends that we're supposed to rescue, they've disappeared again. We don't really know what's happening because you skipped most of the cutscenes, so I don't know, but like we gotta go find them again. Even though we found them once, now we're finding them again. It's all some good times.
Skip the cutscene.
She's taking a nap.
Yeah, we kissed the cutscene where Shriek made Ku take a nap. It's very innocent.
Yeah,
we're just gonna go like wake her up and then do some other things.
We're not waking her up just yet.
We don't.
We don't have to. We don't wake her up just yet. Don't look at this. This is her comfy bed.
Don't worry about it. She's just sleeping. We waved her off of her bed. It's fine.
Slight warning: this upcoming section does have a bit of spiders. So if you're particularly squeamish to spiders or anything, maybe you can consider walking away for about 2 minutes. But I'll let you know when we're good to go back.
Yeah,
yes.
This is another cutscene skip here, and we have entered the Metroidvania section of the speedrun, kind of, where we have 3 different areas that we can complete in whatever order we want. Since we spawned here after the cutscene, we are immediately going into Moldwood Depths, and this is the darkness area. So there's a bunch of puzzles. We're skipping another cutscene here without any problems on Beller's side.
I'm actually not sure if the cutscene got skipped. Yeah, it didn't. Just a hair too early.
It's a very hard cutscene skip. So what we need to do there is we need to land on the ground and have a sword attack buffered, and the sword attack will move us just over to the left, which allows us to hit a save point. And the same thing as with the Ku skip, the game will think we've watched the cutscene and then we save it, so the game with the QTM and come back in, it works. But yeah, it's very, very, very difficult. But yeah, we're into Moldwood. So Moldwood is this crazy network of tunnels and darkness, and if you spend too long in the darkness, you die. It's this whole shenanigan place. There's like the skill you're supposed to get, which allows you to penetrate the darkness, but we don't really have time for that when we're speedrunning the game. So Bellows knows the way. Bellows is going to be using the bow, so every time you start firing the bow, it completely refreshes your light, which resets the darkness kill timer. We collect 2 keystones there very quickly, doing some knife movement here, and we're basically finished with this section. So ultimately, Moldwood takes about 1 minute to complete. Bella's pretty much getting there in a similar amount of time here, and we're going to be facing probably the most challenging boss in this run.
Besides Drake, I'd agree, yes.
Yeah,
Mora is
and
very
also
difficult.
another warning: if you're sensitive to screen shake, this is also a boss. This is not only a massive spider, but it's also a massive screen shake simulator. So be wary of that. So we're watching this kind of entry cutscene, and yeah, maybe it's time to explain Wisps in this game. So this is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. We're collecting Wisps, and each of the Wisps gives us an extra health and energy, which we'll be using for additional movement, making every boss easier or harder. And we're doing Mora, the possibly hardest boss, first. So we have the least amount of health and energy to do this, but Bellers is slowly chugging at her and getting all the bow shots in. Mora not only is extremely hard, but she also has a tiny hitbox. So sometimes it happens that we don't hit all our bow shots in her hitbox because it's only the face that's on the hitbox. But we have the first phase done now. It's time for the escape sequence. Fairly easy movement here, but you can get caught in some walls, so trying to optimize it very hard. And we are into the next section in a second. And the nice thing about the splinter upgrade we have for bow is that it splinters all the energy fragments as well that we get. So right back to full energy and into the next phase here.
Yeah, this buzz. Oh, that's very unlucky. So this is the one thing we don't want to see in phase 2, is these small spiders. They, because we want to basically stand still and use the bow as much as we can, which doesn't allow us to move. These guys constantly run into you, and they deal more damage than Mara does. They deal 2 health for every hit. Mara does like 1 and a bit, so it's like it's pretty scary. Usually, if you're lucky, you'll get the spiders in phase 1, which we can actually just purposely die to. But yeah, Bella's unfortunately having taken a death, but we're going to be straight back into it. The second half of this last phase, Mara puts the entire arena in darkness. The same darkness where if you spend too long without getting a light source, it would kill you. But because we're shooting the bow anyway, that's usually not too big of a deal. And yeah, overall, Bella's again making his boss look very easy. That boss is very challenging when you only have 5 health and 6 energy, which is what we have. It's very, very, very tight in energy. You've got to fit in some sword swings. You can't continuously fire the bow. You've got to sort of mix and match. And if you take too many hits, which is very, very easy to do, you start getting to very, very low health. And yeah, it can cause some problems.
Yeah, and after the first wisp we got here, we're immediately getting to the next one, which is in Bauer's Reach, and we kind of were required, even if we weren't playing MQO, to get our, well, trusty friend to take a nap first, because we needed the feather to tickle our beloved Bauer here. He's a sleepy bear, and we will not be fighting him. That's a good part about this. And that's the only good part about this area, because this is another very movement-intense area, very precise movement. We need to be careful about our health and energy here. And yeah, with another skip of the lever cutscene, we're getting into this area. For now, it's just movement, and if you remember, in Moldwood Depths, we didn't get the skill that we were kind of supposed to get. We're not getting the skill here either. In Moldwood Depths, the skill that allowed us to do it was bow. Here it is sentry, because sentry, it turns out, has similar melting qualities to what grenade does, and it fulfills it in all the areas we need it, which is the upcoming one where we just need to activate this snowball. So we place the sentry very carefully because the explosion is very small, and he gets it. Nicely avoided the snowball that's falling there, and can continue to the next area where we are getting a bit of a fight, but it's really not that hard coming up here.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, Bella's going through this area super quickly. This fight is, there's a lot of optimizations you can do in this fight. It's generally not too difficult, but there are these Golic enemies with the shields, and you can't shoot through their shields. So we're going to see Bella's here bashing through them, and hopefully if the timing is right, you can actually bash through them and then kill them with the bow without them turning around in time of you. If you're a little bit slow, they'll turn around and you have to bash them again. Yeah, so we're going to be seeing Bella's here purposely bashing one of the ranged the flying enemies into spikes to insta-kill them, takes down the beetle. And this is where it's important. Oh, so not quite getting it there. We've got one more attempt here. This one is the one that will save us the most time if we can get the kill without him turning around. Not quite. So overall, still a good job here, and obviously very, very, very quick. The good thing about combat arenas in the Ori is all the enemies are fixed and fixed spawns. So if you learn the patterns, you can learn the techniques to deal with them as fast as possible.
Yeah, now we're getting up to the escape with some nice sentry dashes here. We've never explained them, but the explanation yet again is just this game is too smooth for itself, and we're coming up to a very hard trick here. So we want to avoid a cutscene here.
God.
And
Okay, we're
oh
fine.
no, okay,
Oh, my heart
voided.
dropped, not gonna lie.
This is very dangerous, because if you void, there's a chance that oh, the game crashes. Yeah,
Classic.
wait real quick. This happens from time to time. This is fine. Everything's fine. We're just gonna have to restart the PC. But I can assure you, it will probably still save time over this cutscene.
Oh, definitely. This cutscene is like, I want to say 60 seconds or 55. It's super, super long. So even with that, you know, pretty massive blunder, we're still going to be saving a lot of time.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just this specific part of the game. If you QTM, or if you void out too many times, the game will just crash. And sometimes it just crashes first time.
Yep. What? That's the
Bellows is just too fast for the game to keep up, and it's like, yo, how dare you? So yeah, what we're actually trying to do is trying to thread the needle between the cutscene activation and the top of the screen, and then we can basically just float and instantly start the escape this way. And what this means is we do have to go now through this Bowser escape, which is probably the most difficult escape. But if we die, because we didn't actually watch the cutscene, we never got a save point at the start of this escape. So Bells will have to do the cutscene skip again. So yeah, so we're going to see Bells doing some nice grapple gliding here, which is sort of like breaking the momentum slowdown on a grapple, and then using glide to just maintain that momentum. And we're through that very nicely.
Yeah, and funny thing about there, because if you saw Beller's kind of wiggling his mouse, once the mouse disappears, you can skip the cutscene. That's kind of what you're looking for there. And we're off to the next boss. If you remember, we got the teleporter here, so we are already in the cutscene. And this is Quallock. If you've played the game casually, you know a bit more about him. For now, he's just a big, normally friendly frog. He has been corrupted, and so we need to fight him. Bellers unfortunately did not get the funny cutscene skip here. So
I'd love to sentry jump over, and if I get caught, I think I die and lose all this time, so it's going to be a little bit intense. That seems fine.
Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Yeah, so there is a way to stack two cutscenes together, but unfortunately Bellows didn't get the full thing, so it's had to do a weird sentry jump to sort of skip a cutscene. Otherwise the game puts you in a cutscene, and then the frog just runs you over and kills you.
Yeah.
Which is like very awkward. But yeah, this escape sequence is generally pretty forgiving. We're trying to go through it as fast as possible though, because with most of the escape sequences in the game, the bosses have a rubber band mechanic. So if you can get ahead of the boss will actually go faster. So yeah, this is Quallock. Quallock is pretty infamous, I think, when you're playing casually, because you have to do the entire boss in one from 100 to 0, and if you die, it resets to the very start. As you're going to be seeing here, we have our increased health and energy from collecting the other wisps first, and just the general use of the bow. We're going to be demolishing Quallock extremely quickly. The other thing is once he gets to half health, he puts the bottom half of the arena into water, which means you can no longer use the regeneration ability to heal. Not that we would do that in the speedrun. But yeah, we're going to see Bellows here basically just popping out the water, optimizing as many bow shots as possible, and the boss is already dead before I can finish talking about it.
Yeah, but no worries. We have a bunch of time to talk now, because this is the longest cutscene we have to watch, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, if you've played the game, look away or you'll get the feels.
Yeah.
If you haven't played the game, yes, this cutscene exists. Don't worry about it.
Look away and then play the game. Like,
yes.
No spoilers. Yeah,
you should play the Ori. It's awesome.
You're watching a speedrun of basically the whole game, but no spoilers.
Actually, this speedrun is fairly spoiler-free.
It is, except this bit.
Yes. So what is coming up next? We kind of finished the sequence where we could decide what we wanted to do. So now we're back onto our forced path with the main quest order, getting to the last wisp. And we kind of prepared for this earlier. If you remember, we got to the end of Silent Woods and laid our friend to sleep for a bit. So we're getting back to that teleporter we got there and going towards the right. Towards the right, there's a bit of an area where we see the main protagonist of the game, Shriek, the big angry bird. And what we will be doing will be trying to avoid her as much as possible. So this is normally a sequence where you have to be very careful, and we will see how Bellows does it. I will explain it a bit better once we get there, because we're still in a cutscene. But just know that that is a very precise trick. There's like 3 different ways it can go, and hopefully Bellows gets the best way.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so just to be clear, at this portion of the game you need to collect all 5 wisps. And we have collected 4. So Quallock had a wisp, the Bowser Escape had a wisp, Mara had a wisp, and you get a wisp for free kind of early on in the game. As we're going to be seeing here, Bella is zooming across the screen, use some dash slashes, which is a way to increase your speed by animation canceling a dash. And now we're going into feeding ground skip. So in feeding ground skip, what we're trying to do here is usually, as Duke explained, there's a cat and mouse section. We're going to go through this section without touching the ground once. So we're going to be using sword slashes and things to reset our dashes, aerial sentries, and by getting through this section without touching the ground, we actually despawn the cutscene, and we don't have to watch this cutscene, which usually, so that saves another 10 seconds on top of like a 3-minute time save from not having to do the cat and mouse section.
I would say this was not very clean, but it really gave me like too many heart attacks with almost hitting the ground there. If you hit the ground in the first section, you actually need to like restart the entire sequence. In the second section, you can kind of just watch the cutscene. However, we are in the sandy area, and if you look at it closely, it looks as if you can kind of use the sand, and in fact, that is what our next and second to last skill will allow us to do. This is burrow. It's the sand dash ability, so we can burrow through the sand. And we need this to get to the last wisp, because it is at the end of this area and you need to go through here. And yeah, this is also the section where, yeah, we don't use a whole bunch of other movement because the sand is just everywhere, so it's just clean movement. And an important thing to note here is that Bellers is running on KBM. KBM uses the 4 buttons to dictate movement, so we only have 8 directions to go. So he needs to be very careful about his movement. Since this is a late game area, everything deals more damage. And we're trying to avoid this by, for example, switching our overcharge shard to the reckless shard, because yeah, reckless also amplifies the damage taken, but not quite as much as overcharge. So we're going here, opening this wall to pull the lever and access the next part of Wisps, as we're really getting to the late game of this speedrun.
Yeah. So we're going to be seeing here, this is sort of like a laser gauntlet where if Bellas times it really well, can basically get through just as every single laser disappears, which was absolutely perfect. I kind of say how hard that is to do that consistently. If you make even a tiny mistake in movement, suddenly lasers pop up in your face, and they deal over half your health bar. So good job, Bellas, getting through on that. We're now going to go into another lore-ish section. It's not too long, and unfortunately we can skip some of the cutscenes, but unfortunately we have to watch some of the other ones. So we will see how that goes. Again, this is a little bit of a calmer section in the run, a little bit like the Pooh section was, which is good because it's right before Willow Tree, and Willow Tree is by far the highest skill cap area in the game. It has basically unlimited skill cap with what you can do with the movement. So yeah, it's good to get just a little bit of a break here. We skipped over one cutscene just there. We have to watch this one. We're going to be breaking the lever here as we continue through this area.
Yeah, and if you play this casually, this is where you learn about the lore of the area we're in and kind of about the prophecy of Ori. Don't worry about the dead
don't worry,
things in the background.
Read real fast and you got all the lore on that.
Yes. Yeah, generally, warning, this game will make you sad, but it's the good kind of sad. It truly is the good kind of sad.
That's an apt way to put it.
Agreed. Nice.
So
So Belle's getting a wave dash and it's a bit finicky. Sometimes the cutscene catches you and forces you to watch it. Other times you can blow through it, so Belle's able to hit a save point there and able to skip the cutscene. We're going to do another cutscene skip here. By destroying this grove and then dashing into a save before we touch the ground, which stops another cutscene playing, allows us to skip it. And then we are coming up to another, unfortunately, long cutscene where we cannot skip.
Yeah, so this is where we get our 5th wisp. And the wisps combine into one big light in this instance, and the developers thought, this is the core moment that you kind of work for the entire game on. So, we need to make this unskippable. So this is a very long cutscene. If you play the randomizer, shameless plug for the randomizer right here, you can skip this cutscene. The randomizer has a bunch of features and it is very fun to play. You only need to have played the game casually once to be able to enjoy it. And yeah, you can relive your greatest memories, get some more movement with Ori in, and it's amazing. wotw.orirando.com if you want to check it out. And yes, here, Willow, we will get to that. We will explain that in due time. But first of all, there's a big worm coming up. You can kind of see him in the background. He's getting to us now, so big rumbles. And there he is. Now is the escape, and possibly the worst part if you want to play this game on KBM.
That's also a very apt way to play that.
Sure, Bells will get through this no problem. So yeah, this is the sort of last dedicated escape. There's technically one more in the middle of another boss fight, but this is the final one where we have to get through from start to end without dying, and if we do die, we have to do the whole thing again. So, and it's a very long escape. It takes about 50 seconds in total. There's a ton of scope for optimization here. Very nice play there from Bella's, getting the wave dash into a sentry jump, sort of forcing the worm to move and earlier than normally would have. But yeah, we're gonna see Bella's here. Basically, we're gonna do most of it is sort of intended threats here. We're just zooming through as efficiently as possible, and we're almost at the end here already. Also, I do really like this worm because there's no lore explanation as to why there is a giant sandworm in this temple. It's here. It just exists for some reason, and it chases you for some other reason. But yeah, and now we're going to be moving on to probably the most difficult trick of the game. It's called Patient Skip. And Bells is going to be doing a bunch of very, 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 very precise movements here.
Yeah, literally nothing.
Yeah, so
yeah,
this skip actually has a funny story to it. So the cutscene you're watching here is 45 seconds long, or something around that. However, if you wait 42.5 seconds or 9 seconds after this pan out that just happened, you can just teleport out without ever having watched the cutscene. So you save like 2 or 3 seconds by just standing still for 42 seconds. And isn't that just the core of speedrunning?
That's it. We did it. We did exactly nothing, and we saved time. It feels good, man.
It does make
there is one caveat to this, is that because we don't actually watch the cutscene, and there's like a little thing that plays, like clears the sand in the air, and like that's the point where you actually get the energy and health bonus from the last wisp. So because we never watched that cutscene, we don't actually have that. So Velas is going to be going through the final section of the game and the most difficult section, and also the final boss fight with less health and energy than he otherwise could have, in the name of saving time. So
yeah, and another boss fight coming up here. As explained before, these patterns are set. The first two enemies here are without a shield, and Bellers is using his sword here because he is kind of low on energy because of some failed aerial sentries. So first one with sword, next one dropping energy after hitting him with bow. Very funny. Now we get the ones with the shield, so he's dashing behind it and starting to shoot the bow. Nice. To activate it fully. Getting another energy drop though. That is very unfortunate. And we are heading we are heading to the final skill of the game. If you thought that bash is a powerful skill because it allows you to grab onto every enemy in the game, you're about to get your mind blown, because we are about to get launch, the most powerful skill in either Ori game. Well, it allows us to make ourselves a projectile and just get from wherever we want to wherever we want, pretty much. And yeah, this is our main movement skill for the rest of the game. We will be using it in combination with pretty much every other skill. Similar to how double jump gets reset when we hit something with sword, that is also true for a launch. It also gets reset when we bash, it gets reset when we hit a wall, it gets reset when we hit the ground. So that is the main thing we try to do. And as we encroach our next cutscene skip here into the final area of the game, yeah, this is, as Seal mentioned earlier, the most high skill ceiling part of the game. So really intense movement. We need to complete 8 different sections of this dungeon to be allowed to the final escape and final fight of the game.
Yep. So this first hat, we're naming another. This is hat 1. We're gonna have a nice little Indiana Jones moment, except we don't have time for that. So we're not gonna have an Indiana Jones moment. We're just gonna skip underneath this rolling ball and destroy the creep hat. Yeah. So just to clarify, there are 8 different creep hats that we need to destroy, which will unlock the door for the final boss. And that was number 1. So we're already down 1. Yeah. The first section there, and in general here, like because of launch's versatility, there's just so much that you can do in every one of these sections. A lot of them, like we're barely going to be touching the floor. We're going to be looking to reset launch as many times as we can. So again, looking there, we get a grapple off that thing. Nice little launch through the top of that laser because the hitbox is a bit wonky. And we're going to be seeing something else here that Bells is going to be doing, which is a little bit funky looking. But what Bells is going to be trying to do in as many hats as he can is he's going to be trying to destroy the hat and then land and then dash away into a save, which will again allow us to skip a cutscene, which would normally show the hat being destroyed and the progression on the door. Again, we don't have time for that, so we're going to quit menu and skip that. Hat 3 here, pretty ominous for being difficult. Bella's here going to be bending projectile around several corners. Oh, that's unlucky. Yeah, so this is not the intended way to do it, but it is the fastest. So we're going to take this projectile over here from this elemental. We're going to use bash and launch to keep up with it and bend it around 2 different corners, or technically 3 different corners, so that we can destroy this hat way quicker than you would normally would. And yeah, that is incredibly difficult. So nice one on Bellas for getting that on second try.
Yeah, this is insanely difficult to do if you don't know what you're doing. But once you get it down, it's very satisfying to do. And we're moving on to the next heart, which is just, if you've played it, it's one of the smoothest movements in the game, in my opinion. And this is the burrow hut. We're doing the same thing again, where we're trying to skip the cutscene. And the funny thing about this one is that after you skip the cutscene, you can already burrow into the sand and like end up way further from the heart than you would expect. So, oh no, it doesn't get the cutscene skip. So it sets up for it again. Hopefully, after the QTM, we are in the sand and burrowing out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Nice. Yeah, hat 4, very, very, very satisfying movement. Hat 5 is a little bit... it's all about your first setup, which unfortunately Bells didn't get optimal. We're going to have to potentially wait for some of these... basically, there are some spinning balls and they have a pole in the middle of them, and you can go through the pole to pop out on the other side in a different direction here. So we have to do a little bit of waiting here, but it still wasn't too bad. Bells are intentionally tanking a laser to just like damage tank straight through it. Going for a little bit more efficient, has already done that. So now we're up to 5. We've done 5 out of 8 very, 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 very quickly. The next one we're going to be coming across is actually a boss fight. It is Willowstone, and every MQO speedrunner is terrified of Willowstone.
Yeah, so basically, Willowstone has some cycles that can really mess you up. So if you're lucky, you can just stand still and shoot your bow. If you get unlucky, you just get obliterated by it. So yes, okay, that is the very lucky cycle. So hopefully he can damage it down completely. You can see the health bar melting, and we're good to go.
Nice.
That was 3 inputs on Bella's part. Good job, Bellas. That was some high intensity gaming right there. We press the bow, we dash once, and then we press the bow again. Yeah, Willowstone is solid seen as I don't know, for some reason we always hype it up. Every Ori comes here is like, yo, Willowstone hard, but actually Willowstone's always chill. It's generally just you shoot it and it dies before it can do anything. Boss is actually kind of difficult when you're playing casually and you don't murder it very quickly. But that's six hats down. We're coming to the 7th one right now. We've got this little spinny wheel section, but spinny laser section, but Bella's getting through that no problem. The last hat 8 is actually pretty tough to get optimally, so we'll see what Bells can do here. It involves, the first thing we're going to be doing is a damage tank on a laser, so we're going to pick a little bit extra health here. So we're going to be looking to damage tank through here, gets through that very nicely. And when you do that properly, the second wheel basically is in the perfect place to instantly skip through. And then Bella's here getting over and getting the third wheel pretty much perfectly as well. So very, very nice job there. It's all about the combination. If you get the first one correct, then the other 2 generally line up for you really well. And that is the last creep hat dead. So after this, Bella's loads back in. After that cutscene skip, we're going to be traveling back through Willow Tree a little bit. And we're going to be going to the final boss arena.
Yeah, so in the final boss arena, we are fighting the main antagonist of the game, which is Shriek. We have seen her a few times, but not really. Don't worry, she has her reasons, and she's kind of denying us from returning this light. And so we have to fight her in 4 phases. The first 2 phases are pretty much determined from the start, especially once we get optimal fighting movements. So since Belarus has lots of experience here, he should be getting done with Shriek here, yes, in the determined part. Now we get into this very short escape sequence here. With launch, it's basically free. He will try to get some nice launch movement. If you hit slightly angled ground, you can actually get a lot of momentum, so that's what we're using here. And get the refresh of the launch. And with that, this escape sequence is just incredibly fast, and we're hitting phase 3. And phase 3 is the most scary one because it has RNG, and there are some attacks where Shriek just doesn't take any damage no matter what you do. And really low HP here, just need to be careful. And we're getting indeed swoops. Swoops mean which can't deal any damage.
Just do the feather attack.
Wow.
Alright, that's literally the most unlucky sequence.
This is the one thing we don't want to see because it takes like 10 seconds and Shriek is not damageable. Most ideally, you want to see 2 attacks where you can damage her and you can get her down into her last phase from those 2 attacks. Bella's here doing a really nice cool thing, which I don't quite understand, using bash and bow, you just sort of stay in place. It's pretty cool. So this is a slowish attack here, but the cool thing about this one is if Bella's positions Shriek in certain positions, she'll actually break the floor, which saves some time just a little bit later. So that was our second damaging attack where we could damage her down. Unfortunately, not quite getting it. Probably like 2 or 3 bow shots away only. It's very, very, very precise and very hard to do consistently.
Shriek is not being nice
having
today.
that
is insane.
No. So unlucky.
4 out of 4 again. Wow, that is awe-inspiring. We really
I see the 1
airflow.
HP, 1 energy. I am so worried right now. This is like, even though you can practice it a lot.
Okay.
We're good. So
Bells is gonna intentionally die now because,
hey, what's a good speedrun
this is
without a
safe
degenerate amount of luck on the final boss? You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah, so we're on the 4th phase now. There's this big whole Shriek being Shriek thing. She's gonna stomp on some stuff, she's gonna swing stuff. If you just stand in this corner, nothing hits you ever, so we just sort of sit here for 20 seconds. And then there is a predetermined pattern of swoops that Bells is gonna be dodging. And then Shriek is gonna appear on the right-hand side, and Bells is gonna be doing some, hopefully 1 cycle here. Nice, gets the bow trick again, and that is Shriek down.
yeah, this is not quite timed just yet. This game, since the first game had some nice times they found in the final crawl section where you just hold right, this game decided to do it as well. So we still have the final cutscene, which is like, I don't know, 2.5 minutes or something.
I think 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds from the point Shriek dies until the run ends.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're pretty much just holding right, and there's even some RNG depending on how fast your PC is at the end. If you want to avoid this, there's a category where we don't have to do this, but generally speaking, in speedruns we do. And yeah, we're kind of waking up our friend, so you can see she's fine. And Shriek is doing Shriek things. And yeah, this is the section where we can just shout out stuff. So shout outs to the Ori community. It's one community for both games pretty much, and it's one of the most welcoming places I've ever been in. Highly recommended. The Discord server is great. We have randomizers for both games. Everyone is super helpful if you want to learn the speed games and speedruns. And both of the games have incredible resources to learn, so come join us.
Yeah, no, this game is super, super fun. I hope I did a good job of showcasing that to you. I really like this game. I think the movement in this game is just so much fun. And if it looked interesting to any of you, I would highly, highly, highly recommend watching Scarfelt's YouTube guide on the beginner variants of this MQO category. It is so entertaining. Those videos have gotten me into the speedrun, and it's gotten many other Ori speedrunners into it. It's highly recommended, if this looks interesting at all and you want a place to start out.
Yeah, this is the one HP 1 energy I am so worried right now. This is like, even though you can practice it a lot, you just need to be careful. And we're getting indeed swoops. Swoops mean which can't deal any damage.
got me into it too. Also, I think I can say on behalf of chat and everyone else, you absolutely killed this run, dude.
Yes,
So.
yes,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got
so as mentioned, this is the final inputs that are gonna happen now, so we're kind of
One
reliving
whole
Ori's
input.
moments. Yes.
You hold your right key and you don't release it until the game is over.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice touching thing. You get to you can also press the map key, which doesn't do anything. It's supposed to be like this touching thing where we you go through your final memories and we all these characters and things that we didn't meet. Like we're coming up to, I think we see Qualark. It's Qualark. We don't know anything about him. We just brutally murdered him.
That's
okay.
It's speedrun life.
Sounds reasonable. I don't know. But yeah. No, I like to meme when I come and say the speedrun because the story is really amazing and I don't want to spoil stuff. But genuinely, if you haven't played this game, like it's and Blind Forest as well, they're both incredible stories. Definitely worth checking out.
Time
But
ends
yes, time
right
is coming up.
now. And that's time. So yeah, again, that's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. We can watch this whole cutscene, but as speedrunners do, we skip those. But yeah, that's Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Again, really love this game. It's so beautiful. The movement is one of the funnest I had in like any platformer ever. And so if you're at all interested, highly, highly recommended. Got my stamp for approval. But go on. Okay, thanks again for having me on, Vesper. This was my first time doing a run like this, so I was super nervous, but I was also super excited. And then we're just playing speedruns around here. It's really fun.
Oh yeah, and if anyone that was in chat wanted to, because you gave them a, if I'm correct, you gave them a place to look for more about the game. If not, reiterate one more time.
Yeah, on YouTube. You can obviously just use the speedrun.com Ori and Will of the Wisps. It has so many great guides and fantastic guides. But the thing that hooked me personally is on YouTube, Scarfelt's guides, beginner guides to MQO. That's Scarfelt, Skarfelt. They are probably the greatest runner of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I have snagged the world record from them once, but they quickly came back for it. They are a real inspiration and just honestly stunning to watch at this game. I'd highly recommend.
All right, and then if anyone wanted to follow any one of y'all, where would they be heading off to?
If you want to do that, I'm going to probably be streaming more MQO. I might be dabbling in other categories, but for me, it's just on twitch.tv/BellersTheBomb. And Killing Seal.
I am over at twitch.tv/Seal, although admittedly I don't stream Ori that much. But I do stream.
And if you want to see some Ori 1 gameplay, then I think 2Kill would be a great place to view that.
Yeah, I mostly speedrun the randomizer of the first game on stream. You can find that at 42kill on Twitch. And yeah, we're just having fun, and I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm not quite as crazy as Bellers at either of the games. So.
All right. Well, thank you all so very, very, very much for showcasing that amazing Ori and the Will of the Wisp game. That will do it here for the bargain bin. But before we do send it on over to Express Lane, I don't know if the camera's going to switch back over to me, but in the meantime, if it does, I do have one announcement that I was saving mostly for the last little bit of this entire thing. Beginning February 5th, Hotfix will undergo significant change and restructure. During this time, we're going to be dialing back a lot of the daily shows that we have. This, of course, does include the bargain bin. Live shows will be on every Wednesday, as well as live weekend shows. The interim schedule can be found at our Hotfix website, gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. I don't normally do this. It's a little bit more of a personal thing for me. I've been doing this for a little over 3.5 years. Thank you all so much for being here and supporting not just me, but everyone on Hotfix. While I cannot speak on their behalf, I know that they are all thrilled that everyone here has been supporting all of them. I wanted to, for the past 3 years, I've supported so many other runners, gotten them so many outs. But this is actually, I think, the first time I've ever plugged myself on my own show. So if you want to, you can always give me a follow, twitch.tv/midnight_Vesper. Even though it is my show, I feel as though that the runners need a little bit more oomph. So I let them have a little bit more of that curtain, a little bit more of that. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so very, very much for 3.5 years of the bargain bin. We're not done. We're just taking a little bit of a break, by the way. But I just wanted to let you all know that, excuse me. Throughout all of this, thank you all so very much. It's been a complete honor. And once again, thank you all for supporting Hotfix. We'll be back with the new format eventually, and we'll share more information here on all. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up. We'll show you all information here on our social medias as well when the details become available. I don't necessarily. It's emotionally difficult for me to end on that note, considering this is not the end of not just for a hotfix, but not for the end of tonight. We do have a lot of other great shows coming up throughout the rest of the week. Please come out and support every single hotfix show for the rest of the week. Also, we will have our live weekend specials as well. I forgot to mention that as well. But please, more than anything, support Asuka with Express Lane coming up. They're going to have some amazing runs coming up. Alien Isolation, Binding of Isaac, Skull Island, and Destiny 2. Later on this week, we're going to have Lethal Company, Sonic Adventure, Silent Hill, Pokemon, Devil May Cry, and so much more. So I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you all so very, very much. And while we take a moment to get everything set up for, I always like to end on this, while we are closing the doors here on the bargain bin, do not forget that Express Lane is coming up. So while we do that and get everything set up, this is a great time for you all to get up, stretch, hydration. Please hydrate. It's very important. And excuse me. And if you need to get a snack or anything like that, yeah, this is a good time to do so. Once again, thank you so very much. And cheers to all my speedrunning friends. I love you all.